portion of this broadcast is brought to you by Reliant. Welcome to Reliant. How can we help you? By MyPlates.com. Show your team pride with a Texans official license plate from MyPlates.com. By your local Ford dealers, official trucks of the Houston Texans. And by the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off from the Texas Lottery for your chance to win like a pro.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you in HD by Xfinity, as we welcome you back indoors to Reliant in Houston. Joel Myers along with Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey downstairs, and two teams that met during the regular season last year. And what a second quarter it was for Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans, taking apart the Miami Dolphins and taking care and capitalizing on every mistake of a rookie quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Gary Kubiak getting ready for his 8th year. A lot of great expectations coming into the season, of course. Can they get past the second round? Get to at least the AFC title game this year. Stay healthy. Good chance.
Well, if he's still smiling, at least 60 minutes from now, as Joe Philbin looks on as well, the head coach for the Dolphins, it will be as a result of the success they've had in terms of continuity. Joe Philbin, though, his group is trying to regroup. They're a new, young group. Gary Kubiak says continuity is the key for him this year.
So we're ready to go at Reliant. The Texans won the toss, and with the way they finished the game, and especially as efficient as they were offensively, as Keyshawn Martin is back deep waiting for the kick from Caleb Sturgis. They have accepted and will take the ball first tonight. Sturgis, the 5th-round pick out of Florida, and he won the job. They terminated the contract with their 5-year vet, Dan Carpenter, earlier this week. So the job, it belongs to Sturgis. High one. Taken 2 yards into the end zone for Keyshawn Martin with a lane over to the left side. And shut down before he can get to the 20. Good coverage on special teams by Miami as they put him down near the 19. Matt Schaub won series last week, and he was perfect.
Yeah, he was perfect. He had a death in the family and missed some practice time this week. But again, I don't suspect that will affect his efficiency. We'll see clearly in this first series where Matt is.
The Texans quarterbacks, in fact, last week, a combined 31 of 44. We talked about it earlier on the pregame show. Good battle behind Matt Schaub between T.J. Yates and Case Keenum. On the quick count, middle of the field, Andre Johnson. It's complete for a gain of 20 out to the 39. Brought down by Rashad Jones in the secondary.
So you talk about continuity. If there's any problem with it, no ill result here. Clear in route. Great job of getting the opportunity to get open in the middle of the field. The completion, the throw, excellent.
Ben Tate, the single to the backfield. They bunch with the tight end moving now. Owen Daniels on a first down for the 39. It's available. Ben Hopkins. They grab on the outside, so they flood the left side of the near side of the field. Good yardage, about 8 on the catch. Brought down by Clemens in the secondary. Offensive line, Ben Jones gets the start. Wade Smith scoped earlier this week, so hopefully he can be back in about 3 weeks for the start of the regular season. Tate, Jones, Johnson, Daniels, and Hopkins completing the starting lineup offensively. Ton of time, Schaub, and it's picked off. And going down with contact, intercepted by Brent Grimes. So Grimes, the starting corner out of Shippensburg State in his 7th season, with the takeaway. So Matt Schaub, a bit of a disbelief look on his face. He had 2 in the middle of the field, but Grimes came up with it. We're scoreless so far at Reliant. That's a turnover early for Matt Schaub. Man, the Texans on a poorly thrown ball. Joel Myers, Spencer Tillman, back at our line with Greg Bailey.
Well, Hopkins has got to do a better job. A couple of things here on this little drive route. It's an in route. He loses his footing, but Grimes does a nice job of getting underneath the ball that was thrown on the back shoulder. Here's the release, playing a bail technique. Is Grimes. He sees it, gets underneath it. Hopkins loses his footing, should come a little bit flatter to the field, Joe. That's a combined mistake on the part of the quarterback and the receiver. Probably should not have thrown that ball. It was a little bit behind him. And, of course, DeAndre Hopkins could have come a lot flatter. And Gary Kubiak is going to sit there and think about that as Arian Foster looks beside him.
Starting lineups all brought to you by your local Ford dealers. We saw the Texans starting 11. Now it's Ryan Tannehill, West Texas. Big spring. And on the first carry of the game, Lamar Miller taking it over the right side for about 4. Brought down by Justin Tuggles. Tuggles in the starting lineup due to the hamstring injury still to Whitney Merciless. Ryan Tannehill, an experience here at Reliant last September, and it all disintegrated in the second quarter. In about a 7-minute span, 3 touchdowns for the Texans basically put the game away. They'll call it a gain of 3 on first down. Make it 2nd and 7. Play fake, and here comes the heat. Antonio Smith with the sack. Back at about the 34.
Well, Antonio Smith is one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. Watch him work on that outside technique of just a power move around the outside, arm over, and he's all over Tannehill. You're going to see another opportunity to get to the quarterback. You'll see 94 do it early and often this year. Joel, he is on fire. And again, the presence of Mitchell inside, the emergence there, and 99 is going to make him that much more effective.
Went past Josh Samuda, who's starting in place of the injured John Jerry at right guard. So now 3rd and 11. And heat from Watt.
Great play.
And a great play in the open field. Brian Cushing.
See, Joel, that's the athleticism we talked about in the open that you were missing last year. When he went down in week 5 of the regular season last year, you didn't have that kind of playmaking ability in the middle. Watch him knife under to get into the backfield and break up a play that would have been at least a 15, maybe 20-yard play. Pure athleticism. Tannehill does a great job of delivering the ball, but an even better job by number 56, the captain of this top unit.
Brandon Fields to punt. He led the NFL with a 50-yard average last year. Shot O'Kale waits back inside the 30. And a returnable type at the 26. Makes the first one miss. And Kale stops shy of the 30 at about the 29. First one down there. Austin Spittler. But a flag is down on the play. You talked about the Brian Cushing factor. Last 2 years, Texans 15-6 with a healthy Brian Cushing. 2 years ago, when he was in there every step of the way, Texans 2nd in total defense, 3rd in fewest points allowed. The impact of number 56 for the Texans.
It's multiple. It's leadership. It's obviously physical prowess. You saw the athleticism on that last play. And again, it's the knowledge of the defense. He makes the calls, and everybody feeds off his awareness of what Wade is trying to do as an overall theme from the game. So he's a player that's irreplaceable.
Had hardly any penalties at all at the Metrodome last week in Minneapolis. And a little bit of a delay early on our first flag here tonight. Our referee this evening, Adrian Hill.
There were 2 fouls on the play. During the return, illegal block the back, receiving team, number 35. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunt, number 27. Since the spot of the illegal block and the dead ball spot were the same, the ball will be returned to that spot. Houston keeps the ball, first out.
So the Texans defense responds after the early turnover and a shock, a poorly thrown ball by Matt Schaub. It surprises us all. He's been that good. It's scoreless early at Reliant. At their own 30-yard line. Piled up 439 yards of offense last week. Well, running the Bulls coming up Sunday the 22nd at Reliant Park. Let's head down to Greg Bailey. Greg. We'll pick up on that in just a moment with Greg downstairs. Then we talked about Ben Tate. He's looking for a carry. He'll get it over to the left side.
Big play.
And a nice kick out block as he gets close to 10. Give him 9, a little more than 9 on first down.
Well, that stretch play was nice and big against the Vikings. Sierra Wood had an excellent day rushing. All you have to do, number 44 knows how to get that yards too. Just run to the end point of the end man on the line of scrimmage, and they've got to run and chase. A lane will eventually open if you run the play with discipline.
Time of possession last week because of the control they had on the ground. 36 minutes to 24 for Minnesota. Not a shock, though, as the Texans have led the league in time of possession each of the last 2 seasons. Tate altering his course, but I think he got enough. Sliding ahead to the 40-yard line for the first down.
Well, the Dolphins doing a nice job of containing that time and preventing the edge from not being set against them, and yet still 44 got enough for the first down.
So 2 straight runs after we saw the Texans come out of the locker room to start the game, throwing the football downfield.
Mistakes will make you change your mind, and again, they'll eventually get back on schedule, but right now it's about the run game.
Talked about the game last September 9th here at Reliant. Texans won that 30-10. And Owen Daniels, looked like it was tipped in the line of scrimmage. Jones on the coverage.
Yeah, well, Gary's not going to like the fact that the protection broke down a little bit there, and Ben Tate has got to be aware of the fact that he's got that end man on the line of scrimmage. You can see that's the blind side. Number 44 has got to be aware when pressure's coming. His quarterback's back is to him, and nothing is more important than protecting number 8 in that scenario.
Good heat that time by Miami. They have given up a lot on the ground over the first 2 preseason games. This is the 3rd preseason contest for the Dolphins because they played in the Hall of Fame game. Giving up just about 300 yards on the ground over the first 2, though. 2nd and 10.
Nice play.
Screen for Tate with a flag on the play. Looks like a hold. Loss of a yard on the reception. Bring it up a 3rd and long. Let's see if they take the penalty. Ellerby on the stop.
Holding. Offense, number 76. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
So Dwayne Brown called for the hold.
Well, there's really no need to do it. Again, you're trying to take advantage of this 4-3 speed getting up the field on the screen. That's where you want the play to go. Let him go inside. Anytime a defender with an arm over move is trying to work against the screen, that's exactly where you want him to go. Despite being a Pro Bowl, that was a mistake there, Joe.
1st and 10 line this quarter is brought to you by Verizon. Last week, Texans 9 of 15 on 3rd downs. This is the 3rd and 11. And here comes the heat, and they get to him again. The sack, Cameron Wake, the right end, who had 15 sacks last year in his 5th season out of Penn State, and he was shot in there. And Oliver Vernon on the other side was starting to get some pressure.
Well, that came here against Newton, and that's a problem. I've seen a couple of times throughout the early practice in this preseason where Newton gave up some blocks that he probably shouldn't have given up. Just a great job by the defender of getting through him and working underneath the closest path, the quickest path to the quarterback. Newton's got to be stronger than that.
Andrew Shapiro punts it away. Fair catch called for by Chad Bumpus. The rookie out of Mississippi State takes it in cleanly at the Dolphins 36. A solid field position for the 2nd consecutive time for Tannehill and Miami as we come back to Reliant with the Dolphins looking for the first down of the game. We have barely played 5+ minutes, and this is going to be the 4th series of the game already. Watch for Spencer Tillman's Rising Star of the Game. It's powered by Royal Purple, and it's going to be announced by Spencer in the 4th. Your chance to win 2 Houston Texans VIP tickets to a Texans regular season game. So stay with us for the Rising Star with Spencer, all sponsored by Royal Purple in the 4th. Joel Meyer, Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey back at Reliant. 2 series for the offense and a sluggish start for Gary Kubiak's squad.
Well, it hadn't been impressive. They produced an interception, pass pro issues with both tackles, and of course the holding penalty by your all-pro tackle, Dwayne Brown. Offensive line and running back struggling with pass pro.
So Ryan Tannehill in his 2nd year out of A&M, taken 8th overall last season. Cushing pinching to the inside. Outside's available, and a hold on the outside as well by the tight end, I believe, as Lamar Miller is brought down. Jonathan Joseph gets to him, but the tight end, Michael Agnew out of Missouri. Did he hook someone?
There's no question about him, and that play had a chance.
Holding. Offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
Agnew did a great job of hooking on that end. If you don't catch this play, it's going to be a big one. You can see he's got outside leverage, and the defender can't get away from him. Agnew certainly held him on that particular play, Joe.
So a lot of cloth in there. He never let go. Justin Tuggle was the one being held for the Texans. So the mark off of 10 takes it back to the 26-yard line, just outside the 26. And false start. Another mistake by Miami.
False start. Offense, number 42. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
Starting lineups for Miami, all brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Martin Incognito out of Nebraska, Pouncey, Samuda, and Clabo. 5 up front. Miller gets the start of the backfield. Jaworski Lane, that's a good story for the former Aggie. He graduated in 09. Hartline, Wallace, and Keller. And his shot in the NFL came last season. Mike Sherman took over the offense in Miami. Former Aggie head coach and former Texans offensive assistant under Gary Kubiak. And the opportunity for Jaworski Lane. Little shovel pitch. It's Miller out of the backfield, scraping his way up the middle as he broke one tackle and gets it out near the 30.
And you can see the newcomer in the middle, Joe Mays, almost with an excellent play in the backfield, showing you exactly how athletic he can be. A 6-year veteran, KG, we talked about him in our open. You can see him being patient right there, settling down, shedding the blocker. Joe Mays just does miss that one. That's a pretty good play until the cavalry came to help him out.
2nd and 16. Tannehill once again out of the gun. Extra pressure and available up the middle. It's complete. Taken in by the tight end Dustin Keller, had a touchdown reception last week. He's in his 4th year out of Purdue. A free agent from the Jets this year for Miami. Cushy and KO, as KO got to him finally, bringing up a 3rd and short.
Well, Texans tried to pressure package there, but the Dolphins did an excellent job of picking it up. And the Texans were in a pure man look with the single safety. That was Shiloh Chaos. He made the tackle. Great defensive play.
Tannehill gets him up to the line in a hurry on 3rd and 2. And out the flat. It's incomplete. Yes. What a wide open shot for Tannehill with Jamar Miller. A break for the Texans.
That was a lucky break, and that was Joe Mays in coverage. And again, watch, Tannehill will be trying to take advantage of some of these new outside linebackers and even some of the inside guys. Joe Mays will be inside most of the time, but he will be asked to drop in coverage. They know that they're new at that position, shallow, not depth. In the 3-4, they will be asked to drop in coverage. That's something new to a lot of these guys.
It's a young, inexperienced group of Miami Dolphins. Miller, the one who dropped it, 2nd year out of Miami, 4th round pick last year. As Brandon Fields gets into it. KO hit as soon as he took it in. No opportunity to bring it in. And the man down there, R.J. Stanford, didn't read the situation.
Typically, Stanford's got to give him at least a couple of yards for him to have a legitimate opportunity to field that when he clearly was all over KO as he tried to seat that one.
Yeah, this is going to be a long night. Every flag we've seen is a deliberation.
It's consistent, though. Both offenses, for the most part, have struggled. Perhaps the Texans more so than the Dolphins, and we've seen the execution be a problem as well. Officials struggling.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the kick. Offense, number 25. That 15-yard penalty will be forced from the spot of the foul. First down.
Time of the field will do the same. It's scoreless so far at Reliant with 7:41 left in the first 15 minutes of play. Scoreless so far at Reliant, and the scoreboard this quarter is all brought to you by Hyundai. Well, game day. Texan fans, you're geared up. You're ready to see your team. So, want to see your smiling faces as well. Go to fanpics at HoustonTexans.com. Email us your best game day photos. That's a good shot right there.
Love it.
So go to fanpics at HoustonTexans.com. And we're going to, as we did last week in Minneapolis, we will put them up as you send them in. So get them to fanpics for us.
You have your entry in?
Done.
Your fan pick, right?
Done.
Oh, that's royal right there. How about that?
He's regular season form, and it's 2nd week of the preseason. From the 34 on 1st down, Ben Tate. And stuffed pretty well right at the 35. Going against a Miami defense who was 21st overall last year, and they were 27th against the pass. So you know that Gary Kubiak felt they could throw the ball against this team, and that's what they came out trying to do.
I think Gary's resigned to the fact that with a better defense, he doesn't mind, and he'll sacrifice some bigger numbers from the passing standpoint for this offense because he knows his defense can play well when healthy.
Miami is coming off an impressive win last week. 27-3 on the road underneath Garrett Graham. Garrett Graham coming off a big day at the Metrodome. 5 catches for 49 yards. He's brought down by Richard Marshall.
Couple of things,
right at the marker.
Couple of things, Joel. The protection. Look how solid it is. And Graham does a nice job of settling and actually coming back to that ball so as to avoid any potential interception. But again, Matt sets his feet, delivers. In this derivative of a West Coast style offense, the timing of the quarterback steps and the timing of the routes supposed to be in sync. That looked like a great classic West Coast approach there in that play.
You're going to get an early measurement in this game. This is the third drive of the game for the Texans, their best field position to start a drive thus far at their own 34. Did they have enough? The catch by Graham.
Yep.
Nose of the ball.
I think that's a link, by one link.
The Texans coming in wanted to use more of the regulars. Ben Tate, Arian Foster, of course, still out. They're not going to rush him during the preseason. We saw guys like Sierra Wood, Dennis Johnson, and Gary said during the week, Deji Kareem had a very good work week. So he wants to see number 39 in there. But Ben Tate right now will take the bulk of the snaps early. On first down, adjusting his path, and only a yard, stopped again.
Dolphins did a great job there on that play. The bunch
Jared
formation,
Odrick
doing a great job on that little bunch formation, coming inside underneath. Nothing doing there in the middle of that Dolphin front.
It's a first-round pick for the Dolphins. Odrick in 2010 out of Penn State. So an injured Ben Tate last season. Never found any rhythm at all. 2 years ago, though, one of the great stories. Now on the waggle play. Plenty of time. And going back the other way. It falls incomplete. He was trying to get it to his tight end. Garrett Graham once again. And Meese did a good job, the linebacker, staying with him every step of the way.
Well, it takes a long time to get that play set up on the waggle. Graham does a nice job of at least getting his body in a position where he can make a play. A little incidental contact there. Again, that play, long time developing. Perhaps a little bit underthrown.
Yeah, and no reason for a flag.
Yep.
As you said, it was incidental both ways. 3rd and 9 from the 45. Failed on the last 3rd down. In the flat, it's Ben Tate available. And angling back, he'll get the first down. Andre Johnson was trying to find a block to give him. Rasheed Jones came in from behind, though, to make the play.
Well, a couple of things that was good about that play. First of all, the recognition by the quarterback to read where the hot receiver was on the release, and it's going to be right here on the outside. Again, when that guy comes, that's where the open receiver is going to be. Immediately, Matt Schaub recognized it was going to be number 44, Ben Tate. Ben does a good job of running an open field, but maybe a little bit more patience, head to that sideline instead of looking inside, running away from those white jerseys as opposed to them.
Fullback is in there. Greg Jones and Schaub again. Plenty of time underneath. It's complete to Owen Daniels. Another first down and the sliding catch at about the 33.
The Texans really in a bit of a groove now. The motion downfield has got this young Dolphin defense running and chasing on the outside. They are susceptible to direction plays. Derek Shelby was one of the guys up front for the Dolphins that bit on the play action. Schaub does a nice job of settling into the degree that he can on the run. That's one of the things he does well, hitting his receiver on the move.
Started back at the 34 of the Texans. At Miami's 34 on a first down. Pocket holds up well after the play fake. Schaub can run it. He'll take Hopkins instead. And he's got a first down to the 15. Brought down to the secondary by Feeney.
That's a fine piece of football execution there. Going to watch Lestar Jean.
And it's actually Lestar. It's 18, not 10.
Lestar Jean with the stutter step. And watch him work back inside. Feeney's trying to come in to cover that flat route. And we were talking about the Texans a moment ago. Linebackers need to drop in coverage. That was an example of a mismatch. 6'5", 4'6" guy against an inside linebacker.
He'll stay on the field. Johnson on the other side. Schaub, corner of the end zone. Touchdown. Owen Daniels.
Success in this league is about making plays. Big days, big plays. McCray gets beat on this play. OD does a nice job of separating from him. Get the feet down and watch the reaction. Number 8 says, hey, I like that.
Randy Bullock in for the point after. It's a 15-yard touchdown pass on a 66-yard drive. The first sustained drive. 9 plays, now flags before the placement.
Too many men, defense, that 5-yard penalty will be forced on the kickoff.
So on the kickoff, it'll be assessed.
Well, they had too many men on the field on that particular play, but there are a couple of new rules and points of emphasis this year, one of which involves how many men you can put on one side of the ball. You can't have more than 6 to either side. This was a case, however, of them having just too many men on the field. Like that?
Well, you got 6 on one side, 6 on the other. It just doesn't work.
The math does not work. Why not go for the Baker's dozen?
I was at Chipley's. Apple footers. Bullock. Third one was the charm for the Texans and Matt Schaub. The third drive of the night, and they find the end zone on the touchdown reception by Owen Daniels. 7-0 early. Houston on top. To celebrate. First scoring drive for either side. It belongs to the Texans. Match up the Miami Dolphins. Preseason game number 2 for the Texans, the third for Miami. And Miami coming off a 7-9 season under rookie quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Different story, though. A veteran squad for Gary Kubiak. There's so many Pro Bowlers, 9 in fact, going to the Pro Bowl last season. Owen Daniels on the receiving end of that score. So it took about 4 minutes, covering 66 yards and 15 yards on the TD grab.
It was good to see, though, guys like Lestar Jeans stepping up. He was, before he was shipped away, Jeff Mayle, in a battle with him for one of those wide receiver spots.
Nolan Carroll will take it about 9 yards. The best thing about Randy Bullock last week in his debut this preseason, 6 kickoffs and 4 weren't returned. That's great kick coverage when they can't bring it back to begin with. Time for our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. And top 5 since 2008. Only team in the NFL, the Houston Texans, to have total offense, both pass and rush, in the top 5.
And Joel, that's impressive. That's what balance will do for you. There are a lot of different teams out there that figured out the formula. It may be 50-50, 60-40, but balance is beautiful when you have it.
So Miami gets it for the third time offensively from their own 20. A flag on the play. And on the out, it's taken in by Mike Wallace out of Ole Miss in his 5th season. It's complete for a first down, but what about the penalty in the backfield?
Well, the protection was good, and typically they may have either more men out there or someone was holding.
There is no foul on the play.
First down. Out past the 35, up to the 36-yard line. Had a good throw. And we all got an opportunity to see Ryan Tannehill, a former wide receiver, and then made the move to quarterback and took over the job his last 2 years for Mike Sherman at Texas A&M. And ironically now, Mike Sherman is offensive coordinator with the Miami Dolphins.
Timing is important, and sometimes it's good to be lucky and good.
25-year-old. At 6'4", 220 pounds, brings him up to the line. That's the former Kansas State Wildcat, Daniel Thomas, a big back, at better than 6'1", 235 in his 3rd season. 2nd-round pick of the Dolphins. Good run for about 8. Up to the 44.
Yeah, that was a nice heavy run, and again, Texans tried to blow that play up. But when you get a hat on every guy, Mitchell, the rest of those guys up front, J.J. Watt, Antonio Smith, a hat on each one of them, you got a chance to make some plus yardage.
Brian Raymond brought him down, but not after a significant gain by Thomas. 2nd and a couple. Play fake. Time for Tannehill. Gets away from the initial pressure. Now he can run for the first down. And holds up well, despite the heat taken into the midfield stripe. And he saw plenty of pressure
Well, I tell you, Brian Cushing was on what we call a green dog blitz. When his blocking responsibility doesn't block, he's free to go after the quarterback, and he does big time.
Another flag, this one to the secondary.
They should pick that one up too.
Get comfortable.
There is no foul on the play for illegal contact. The quarterback scrambled out of the pocket.
That's right.
Therefore, the contact is legal. First down.
When the quarterback gets outside of the pocket to tackle a tackle or tight end, as the case may be, any contact that happens incidental to that, if it's a blocking below the waist, he becomes an active runner at that point in time.
And moves pretty well for a guy his size. Cushing first misses him. And then the opportunity for Jared Crick around his ankles. First down for the midfield stripe. A twist up front. And available is Wallace. Great grab over the shoulder. He's got the first down on the reception inside the 15. Where are they going to put it? Right at about the 15-yard line.
That's a pretty good defensive back who he got position on and beat there. Jonathan Joseph did an excellent job of squeezing that sideline and using it. But again, just a great job of navigating and the ball being placed there by Tannehill over the outside shoulder, the release. Wallace adjusting to the ball over the shoulder catch. That's picture perfect pitch and catch right there, Joel.
Put it at the 17 on a first down on a drive that started for Miami. Back at their own 20. Nice. Thomas angling inside after looking to turn the corner. Takes it for 2 down to the 15 as he's dropped by Brian Cushing.
And he had to turn inside because Brooks Reed did an excellent job of setting the corner on his side to funnel everything back. And with the speed and athleticism of the Texans in the middle and up the middle, they were able to shut that down for pretty much no gain.
It was Miami offense last week in their win 27-3 at Jacksonville. The offense did not have a penalty. So they bunch it to the wide side of the field for Tannehill on 2nd and long. Middle of the field, and the grab is made. Taken in by the wideout on that side, Marvin McNutt out of Iowa. Claimed off waivers from the Eagles. Now key 3rd down in the red zone.
Tough place to score. Field gets squeezed. You'll see a shallow 2 safety look. Nobody in the middle of the field in terms of deep.
Thomas stays in the backfield. Interesting formation on the near side.
Switch.
Tannehill with a bullet and a touchdown. It goes to Mike Wallace. The arm strength on display of Ryan Tannehill, the former Aggie.
Yep, and the old teacup switch route, it causes problems. You can see him bunched up. You're not quite sure by the time you identify. Sometimes a simple zone route, a shutdown route out of that teacup formation is enough to put a man coverage unit back on its heels. And again, that's execution by Tannehill and the receiver setting it down for the touchdown.
Caleb Sturgis, the rookie out of Florida, to tie it up. And it is all even now and Reliant. Pretty impressive drive. Most of it, almost all of it, generated by the right arm of Ryan Tannehill. They traveled 80 yards, didn't take much time. And with 43 seconds left in the quarter, it is all even on the touchdown pass to Mike Wallace. Throughout this evening's game, we're going to be checking Twitter to see what the fans are saying about the Texans. Use hashtag Texans Preseason, and you can see your tweet. We talked about your pictures, your tweets as well on the screen later tonight. So make sure you follow the Texans on Twitter all season long. It's at Houston Texans. Latest news, photos, and your tweets on the air later tonight. Boy, everybody's everybody's on their mobile devices.
Multitasking.
Put it down already.
Yeah.
No, you don't need to. There's nothing in play right now. So it comes back to the Texans after the drive by the Dolphins to even things up. We talked about the young aspect of this team, and that's encouraging. McNutt made a grab, a guy trying to make this team, getting ready for his second season. Dennis Johnson is going to be back deep. We saw him regularly in the first half last week. He was the first running back off the bench for Gary Kubiak. Now, we'll see him in special teams play. Sturgis gets into it. Angles it. And a good job by Sturgis. No return as the Texans will have it at their own 20. So they started at the 19, the 30. The last one, it was a good one. 66 yards, starting at their own 34. And Gary Kubiak has made a change at quarterback. After the first 3 drives, it's going to be Case Keenum coming off a very efficient game last week.
Yeah, Case is excited about the opportunity, but one quick note about that drive. You saw the sequence in terms of time on the field. There's a natural movement upward, and the execution ultimately culminating in a touchdown. So the Texans are at least moving in a forward direction. And here's the numbers. 13 of 18 is Case Keenum, 125 yards, 1 touchdown. With the 109 quarterback rating so far this preseason.
And Gary promised we'd see Deji Kareem, and he's into the game early tonight as he's at the tailback spot behind Jones. Off the play fake, it's Hopkins. He's got the first down. To the 34-yard line as he's dropped immediately by Jimmy Wilson.
Ran into Larry Kirksey, the wide receiver coach for the Texans. I said, can he catch in traffic? He says there's nothing he can't do. Settles the ball there. Bundles it just a little bit, but he controls it in traffic in a zone look with the defender right in his face. That shows you. I'll tell you, he understands he's at the National Football League. Covers himself, protects the ball. Big game.
Keenum 13 of 18 last week, 125 yards with a touchdown, and he had at least 2 or 3 drops out of those 5 misses. Kareem turning the corner efficiently and then put down by the linebacker coming over, Spittler out of Ohio State. So a gain of about 5 on the first down crack for Kareem and his first carry of the game. First quarter in the books. It's all even as we'll come right back to Reliant on the Texans Television Network from Houston after these messages.
A portion of this broadcast is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Bud Light. It's a sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Welcome back once again to Reliant as we get ready for the start of the second 15 minutes of play. Power stats all brought to you by Reliant. 80 of the 97 for the Dolphins come in on their last drive. Their 3rd drive of the night. And the Texans, they had 66 on their touchdown drive of their 110. Joel Myers, Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey back in Houston as they shift the tight end Griffin over to the near side. Run it that way with Kareem on the cutback. A good job on the read. He's got a first down out past the 43, brought down by Austin Spittler, the backer.
Joel, I really like the way Kareem runs. There was some penetration by the right tackle on that side, and he took it naturally where that came. Look at the high right side. You see the penetration by 90, creating a natural seal there. Number 39 read it. Kareem read it perfectly. Got up the field and got as much yard as he could.
He's from Oklahoma City. In fact, he played his high school football with Sam Bradford.
There you go.
He's a former 6th-round pick of Jacksonville in 2010. So he's got experience trying to make it for a 4th season in the league. Keenum on the short drop and the quick stop. And it's complete on the outside. Keyshawn Martin on the far side with the grab. He pulled it off in front of Dimitri Patterson. As we check in with Greg Bailey. Greg?
Yeah, just a quick note, Joel. Looks like first-round pick DeAndre Hopkins is headed into the locker room. Didn't see any kind of distress at all with him, but we'll get you an update and let you know what's going on with the Texans wide receiver out of Clemson.
Well, that would explain why Keyshawn Martin was in the game on that particular play.
Gain of 9 on the reception. Case Keenum's first drive of the contest. We spent a few minutes with him yesterday, so it's good to be out there playing, active. He was on the sideline last year. That is not going to work. Dennis Johnson denied once he stopped and hit the brakes. Keyston Randall dropped into the backfield for a loss of about 3.
Yeah, runner didn't have much of a chance there. The left side of that Texan line, when they begin to pull and go away, a good defensive end or good defensive inside guy will recognize that and starts coming hell-bent for election down the line of scrimmage to make a play. And the back didn't have a chance to even get to the line of scrimmage on that one.
Johnson stays in the backfield. Keenum mentioned to us yesterday, though, he tries not to be too active when he's going through his reads to help out his offensive line. So he's not moving around and moving the pocket on them. Needs 3. And it's behind his intended target. Good coverage. He was looking for Keyshawn Martin. And Patterson right on his back.
That was just excellent coverage there. Again, Dolphins playing man, and Keyshawn ran the route exceptionally well. The ball was placed where it needed to be. Just tight coverage.
Andrew Shapiro will be punting to running back Marcus Thigpen. Tried to touch it for the first time of the night. The former Indiana Hoosier is back deep. Fair catch called for. And Thigpen takes it in at the Dolphins 11. So a long way from Miami, but they do get it back deep in their own territory. Shapiro does a good job filling in for Shane Leckler. It's all even at 7 at Reliant. In the half, Dolphins get it back even at 7 with the Texans as we head downstairs to Greg Bailey. Greg?
All right, Joel, Texans 2013 season tickets may be all sold out, but if you luxury suites still remain, call 832-667-2160 to learn more about Texans suites and to schedule a tour, game day in a Texans suite, an experience you and your guests will never forget. Call 832-667-2160 today.
All right, Greg, thank you. A bolt out of the backfield was Lamar Miller, but a flag down in the play as he's dropped by Justin Tuggle.
Holding, offense number 80. That penalty will enforce half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
That's the rookie 4th-round pick out of Michigan State for Miami. Big kid at 6'4", 260, Deion Sims.
Anytime you see a back bolt like that without getting a hand on him someplace, somebody's holding somewhere.
Tannehill stays in there. They wanted to get more reps for their first-team offense. And, of course, Deion Sims is not a member of the first team. He's well down there in the structure at the tight end spot on the depth chart. Tannehill going to Miller again. Takes it over to the right side for about 3 up to the 10. Brought down by Earl Mitchell. Now it's going to be 2nd and long. So long field for Miami. We're early in the 2nd quarter.
Just watch that right side. You know, Josh Samuda and company is getting a little frisky over there. And if the Dolphins fancy running to that side, it's going to get real tested. Coming to the left, though.
Miller, and good penetration into the backfield once again. It's Antonio Smith. He's already got a sack, and now he's got a tackle for a loss.
That play was designed to go back to the left. It should have gone back to the left. They're trying to run to the short side of the weak side of the field. Eventually, they would have had a better chance if they intentionally came to the left side. They had more bodies to that side.
They list Miller at 5'10". Maybe he just looks smaller when you're going up against Antonio Smith. The guy at 6'4", just about 300 pounds. 1st and 10 line this quarter, brought to you by BHP Billiton. It'll be 3rd long after the loss, back with a 7. And time, but too tall for Brian Hartline. And he was available right at about the 1st down marker.
Texans in a safe zone look. They were playing man scheme, but they were playing a zone. They just couldn't convert it. Again, you can see the linebackers at a nice 5-6 yard depth, dropping into their deep flat routes. 3 guys around 1, playing it safe are the Texans. Defense well.
Brandon Fields will punt it to Shiloh Kao. Barring a turnover, should be great field position for the Texans.
They'll have a chance to handle this ball too.
So Fields, who led the league with a 50-yard average last year, gets into that one. And Kao across the 40 with a flag down and the ball down and out, but covered by the Texans. And a good job at an alert play. Evan Rodriguez punched it out of there, but a nice bounce to Brandon Harris.
The official looks like he got tagged, doesn't he? He's a little disheveled, doesn't he?
Flag happy early. With 10:44 left in the half.
Illegal block in the back during the return, number 35. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul. Houston keeps the ball, 1st down.
Calling on a guy who had a pick last week, Eddie Pleasant. So the mark-off takes away the good field position and puts it back And the Texans 32. They'll have it when we return to Reliant. Scoreboard this quarter, all brought to you by HEB. With 10:44 left in the half. Welcome back to Houston. Joel Myers, Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey, and the second series for quarterback Case Keenum, coming off a very impressive second half against the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, it was a shutout in the second half, the way Keenum and the offense controlled the football. Phenomenal numbers for the Houston Cougars. In fact, we both laughed when he said, now I have to look at what a base defense is, because in college all I ever saw was a nickel and a dime.
Yeah, no matter if it was Art Briles or Kevin Sumlin, they were spreading folks out, and there was just not a whole lot to look. But he's going to have to adjust to the NFL brand. There's going to be linebackers dropping in his face. A little bit of a change from blue to blue.
It's at the 32, a first down with Star Gene, the motion man. Middle of the field available. Good grab. Keyshawn Martin holding on, gets extra yardage. Yards after contact all the way down to the 46. Pulled it off on Will Davis.
Yeah, that was a nice job of a timing route here. Here's an example of the West Coast style offense where you've got an isolated receiver that's running. In lockstep, the timing, the release, Keyshawn does a nice job of separating on the break to get separation from the defender, and Case settles it on the back end with the completed pass.
Kareem in the backfield once again on first down. The waggle action. Looking to the fullback. Will run it himself and takes a slide after a gain of about 3.
Yeah, those off-schedule plays, he does that exceptionally well. And you look at Case, he told us just yesterday that he wants to make those off-schedule plays, and he knows he's naturally that type of player. It's the other plays that he wants to stay within himself and within the system to show that he can move this offense.
Just seems comfortable, as he said yesterday. He's way ahead of where he was in preseason last year. He's trying to pick up everything rapidly. On second and long, off the fingertips. Maybe he led Kareem a little bit too much. Got one hand up there.
Yeah, but I bet he wish he has that one. Deji Kareem was wide open. I take my chances, and I think he wins that individual battle with that corner who's trying to defend him, because he's a inline runner type guy, straight ahead. Got nice speed, as you said, is a 4-year guy. The little swing route here, nobody's on him. I mean, they're rushing, gaming, and dealing inside. You gotta, if you touch that one, you gotta catch that one, Joel.
He was off balance.
Yeah, that's fine. You still got to make that play. That's an NFL caliber challenge there. He's got to deliver and catch that ball.
It's 3rd and 7. Number 17 in the game now. Alec Lemon, rookie out of Syracuse. Going to the out, Graham's got it. He's short of first down, so a decision coming up at the 37. He's short by a little more than a yard. They're going to put him at the 38, so it's going to be 4th and 2.
Nevertheless, it may be short, but Case Keenum delivered that ball on time, rhythm, and it was money. Johnny on the spot there, excellent.
You and I have talked about it. The versatility he brings to the equation is his mobility. T.J. Yates and Matt Schaub, both big guys, 6'5", 6'4".
That's right. And again, maybe the opposite of that will be, well, what happens when you get down in that red area? Can you sit him back in the middle of that pocket at his height, maybe 6'1.5" or somewhere around that? But I think he's going to be effective when they move him out of the pocket. If they can move Matt Schaub with success, they certainly can move number 7, the NCAA's all-time passing leader.
So the Texans utilize their first time out of the first half and stop it with 8:53 to play. Find out about their decision and their play call when we come back, tied at 7. Preseason, but they are ready. They are decked out Texans colors. Watch for Spencer Tillman's rising star of the game, powered by Royal Purple. We'll announce it in the 4th, and it's your chance to win 2 Texans VIP tickets to a Texans regular season game. So stay tuned. Royal Purple sponsors it all. Your opportunity to win in the 4th.
Wrestler will never be mistaken for Rey Mysterio. He's a lot bigger than he is, but he looked like he was wearing that mask, wasn't he?
Dennis Johnson takes over in the backfield. What's it going to be on 4th and 2? Keenum looking to the flat. He's got Johnson going for the bundle instead. Beautiful. Available. Touchdown Texans. Star Gene. You think Keenum likes it a little? What a throw.
Back-to-back plays, accurate. Again, the little the hesitation, the stutter route. And that beats the defender there on that particular play. Great job of the move to get open in the first place and create the separation. And that's Will Davis trying to defend, and Case sets his feet and delivers a perfect strike right into the waiting arms of Lestar Jean. For the second week in a row, he's delivered a touchdown.
Randy Bullock in for the point after. It's a 7-point lead. That's $1 million smile,
isn't it,
for Case Keenum. Boy, he said he's more comfortable, and you can tell. So they gamble on 4th and 2, and it turns into 7 for Lestar Jean. By EGB, 7-point lead. Second drive for Case Keenum in the offense under Keenum's direction. 68 yards in the last 38. Touchdown toss to Lestar Jean. FanPicks, HoustonTexans.com. Get them in right now. FanPicks, HoustonTexans.com. And we'll see you in your Texans gear on the telecast this evening, a little bit later tonight. Let's head down to Greg Bailey. Greg?
Joel, just got the official word from the Texans staff. The first-round pick, DeAndre Hopkins, has been taken inside. They're evaluating Hopkins for a possible head injury. Might have been that catch he made across the middle late in that first quarter.
All right, Greg, thank you. Well, might have been a little whiplash when he hit the ground.
It could be.
Jimmy Wilson hit him underneath and kind of spun him up as he dropped him.
Either way, with the league's emphasis on player safety and concussions, it's going to be something they take seriously.
Gillisley, the running back, bringing it out across the 20s. He's tripped up, spinning towards the 23. That's where Miami is going to have it for the 5th time tonight. And I'm talking about the contact he had at the end of the play and the potential whiplash.
It could be two things. And again, the head does hit the turf, but then there's a helmet on the thigh as well. So there you see the helmet hit the thigh, and then you see the head obviously hit the turf. And believe me, it looks soft, but that turf is not soft.
Right.
You know, again, this is some of the best fields in the National Football League here. But again, it's underneath it, a layer of foam and then some concrete.
Tannehill moving his fullback, his H-back, on the play fake with Thomas. A lot of time for Ryan Tannehill this time, and he's going to run it past the 22, sliding down. They'll give him the 27 and a gain of 5. It's a good coverage downfield.
And obviously, again, just to follow up, it's a natural service. They bring those trays in here, and the grass is grown, and they put it all together. But I think the point is, underneath this, it may appear like it's soft, but Joel, it's not soft.
It's fast.
It's very fast.
That's right. That's why it's not soft. From the 27, a 2nd and 5. Tannehill underneath route. Man, the ball in and out of the hands of the tight end, Dustin Keller. And that was a tough hit by Swearinger. Boy, he timed it well.
Texans were dialing up pressure on the outside, and you got an injured Dolphin. As a result of that, Swearinger did a nice job of bailing in his responsibility and dropping in coverage and breaking up that pass before it had a chance to be completed. You can see him again. Watch the Texans dialing up a pressure look here. The quick hot read. Swearinger.
Ooh, that hurts.
Swearinger puts his head right on it, didn't he?
Ah, that knee.
That's tough, man.
And unfortunately, Dustin Keller, a free agent signing for the New York Jets this year, in pain and still down. Our thoughts with him right now. You could see the way it was planted and then the awkward position it was put in.
Yeah. Well, Swearinger has a reputation of being a physical player, and I can tell you he lives up to that billing, but he is not a dirty player. Watching him for the last 3 years when he was at South Carolina, I can tell you he's put many guys out with good, solid hits. That was a good, solid football play, low as it was. It was nothing intentional in terms of hurting the player.
Let's check in once again with Greg Bailey. Greg?
All right, Joel, just a quick update on DeAndre Hopkins. He is officially out for the rest of the night. We will not see the first-round pick out of Clemson again tonight.
All right, thank you.
Joel, body language tells a lot. You know, you look at the injured Dolphin and you look at DJ Swearinger. And Swearinger is clearly affected by that blow. These players do have feelings, and they don't like to see even the opposition go down as a result of their action.
And you can see how the Dolphins feel about Keller, the entire roster.
Yeah,
he's over there on the field right now.
Yeah, and Swearinger goes over and you know, makes his presence felt and gives him a little handshake as well.
Second round pick. He played on a defensive unit that was 11th in the nation. You and I talked to him last week, and I said, when Ellis Johnson was there, you guys were even better off. You were top 5. And he goes, Coach Johnson, he said, we were 11th last year, but you're right, top 5 the previous seasons with Ellis Johnson as the coordinator.
It doesn't matter who's coordinating. When you've got great talent like this, he's going to make plays for you.
So the former Purdue Boilermaker unfortunately headed to the locker room. Former first-round pick of the New York Jets and ready to put it back into play. And now it's going to be a 3rd and 5 at the 27. And let's see if the Texans can get it right back. Inside of 8 to play in the half. Coming off a drive and a score. Engineered by a throw by Case Keenum. Extra rusher. Tannehill has time though and a good grab. He lofted it for Brandon Gibson, the former St. Louis Ram. Free agent signing this year. He had 51 grabs last year with the Rams on a 13-yard average.
That was Bryce McCain in coverage on that play, and again, single safety look. Everybody's manned up underneath. Dolphins convert.
So 3rd and 5 turns into 1st and 10 at the 42. Play fake with Thomas, middle of the field, and the bullet was behind Gibson. Kind of surprised him on the delivery as well.
Yeah, because you had a linebacker dropping in coverage and the ball was on the other side. And again, when you emerge as a receiver and that ball is right there and there's a defender in front of you, you don't see it. Tannehill put a lot of weight behind that throw. It was coming.
He's got some velocity.
Yes, he does. He's a big guy.
16 starts for Tannehill as a rookie last season, hitting 58%. Better than 3,300 yards. Now out of the gun on 2nd and 10, it's Thomas. With a zone action read, and a good read by Daniel Thomas into the secondary. He is a big back.
Well, you're used to seeing a one-cut back, and I'm telling you, sometimes it goes to the edge and the stretch. This time, he's going to get vertical in a hurry once he sees that upfield penetration and then get north and south and puts his foot in the ground and up the field for a nice game there.
He played his college ball at Kansas State. He started in JUCO, though, and happened to be taken by the Dolphins, a second-round pick in 2011, because he is a native of South Florida. So first down with a good run by Daniel Thomas to the Texans 45 before Eddie Pleasant got to him in the secondary. Tannehill pocket holds up, and boy, flag on the play. It was all tied up, and still Gibson managed to make the catch despite the problems he had as Bryce McCain was all over him.
Before the pass, holding, defense number 21. That penalty is declined. The play results in a first down.
Well, Gibson on that play, as Gary looks on, there's a couple of things that are disturbing about that. Now they've targeted Bryce McCain and figure like they can work on him a little bit. Gibson drawing the penalty. Bryce has got to figure out a way to defend him and avoid that.
Three wide receivers set. Spread it out. It's Thomas on first down. Slugs it over to the left side, inside the 25. Short gain, 3.5 yards. Jared Crick over there, former Nebraska Cornhusker.
Jared's a little bit different. He's effective inside, but he's got shorter arms and typically doesn't get the separation you expect like a J.J. Watt or an Antonio Smith, but he can be effective and was last year for the time he played.
So now second and a short 7 inside the 25 on a drive started back at the Dolphin 22. Tannehill finds some time and taken down finally from behind by Brian Bremen. So he extended the pocket for a couple of extra seconds, but then tracked down by the guy out of West Texas A&M.
Well, you knew him for his special teams exploits, but when he does get in there to make a play, Brian Bremen does a nice job after being double-teamed and pushed upfield of staying active and getting after Tannehill. Pressure from the left side, collaborating on that side. Bremen doubles up and makes a nice play.
Big sack all the way back outside of the 30 to the 32, making it 3rd and long. No tight end to the formation. 4 wide receivers, shovel pitch. Daniel Thomas, good call. Can he get to the marker? Yes, he does. A lot more inside the 10, all the way to the 4. What a call by the Dolphins and Mike Sherman.
Yeah, when they look at this film, Willie Jefferson, who they're really high on, a converted wide receiver playing outside, the linebacker had a chance to make a play inside on the shovel pass. You can see him there. Just does miss that underneath, and you got to be able to recognize that. A guy who's a natural at that outside position does recognize it a lot faster and makes that play.
Second time we've seen them go for the shovel.
Yep. Well, you got young players who are supposed to recognize that, and they're eyeballing and committed to the running back as their responsibility. You can catch them looking from time to time.
On 1st and goal, Tannehill on the slant, bobbled and dropped. Good coverage on Hartline. It was Brandon Harris who broke it up.
Brandon Harris on the coverage for the Texans.
Brandon signed with the Texans, and when he did, one of the things he brought was an intuitiveness for the ball. And you can see he does a good job of closing, but he gets his hand in there and his hat on the shoulder to disrupt the easy catch.
He read it pretty well, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
2nd and goal to the 4. Miller's back into the game. The little back over to the right side. He's in. Touchdown, Miami. So long drive and a response by Tannehill. And a serious conversion on the shovel pitch on 3rd and better than 13.
And they mixed it up too, Joel. And again, you can see against the strong right formation, tight end does a nice job of hooking on the outside there for the Texans. And you know what? Look, Justin Tuggle just got ragdolled inside on that play. He's got to have contained. He's the last man on the line of scrimmage. He's got to be able to avoid that from happening to him and preventing the touchdown.
Sturgis in for the point after. And we're tied up once again. So they're trading it pretty well as Miami stays with their first team offense for the most part out there. Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback, of course. And get the 78-yard drive, the key conversion from the 32 on 3rd and 13. The Texans 32. And a play that definitely surprised the Texans.
It did surprise them, and I think the whole drive in terms of how the Dolphins were able to mix it up, the shovel pass, they hit the perimeters with their passing plays. The Texans did contribute and missed a couple of tackles along the way. But I think if you're Gary Kubiak and you're looking at that drive, you've got to be concerned about the different ways the Dolphins were able to move the ball down the field effectively.
Well, stay tuned. Halftime report all brought to you by the Texas Lottery, coming up with 3:49 or 3:59 left in the half. Stories we'll be covering. Kareem Jackson giving back to the community. You're going to be with DJ Swearinger and also Sam Montgomery. You'll talk with those two. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off game for the Texas Lottery. It could be your lucky day. So an opportunity for some second-teamers defensively, because that's what's out there for the Texans for the most part. But it's a long drive instead for Miami. Sturgis will kick it away. In his debut last week, all he did was hit a 58-yard field goal. And this time sends it deep into the end zone where Dennis Johnson will stay right there. So the Texans will get it for the 6th time in the first half. And we've talked about the new HD screens, and they are brilliant at both ends of the stadium.
And they are big, too. I think in terms of total space and coverage, they're the largest in the league.
And some of the things that you can look forward to this season as you get ready for Texans games here at Reliant. Right now we get ready for Case Keenum's 3rd possession and drive of the game. And after the play fake, the mobility of Keenum throws it away outside of the pocket because he had a rush. I mean, as soon as he turned around, he had it in his face. The pressure came from Keyston Randall right away.
Yeah, Keyston was after him. And here's the thing you take away on this play. After the play action, he doesn't force anything. He simply throws the ball away, realizing there's not a play to be made. He'll live for another day. And that's something that he told us that he wanted to work on in particular, Joe.
That was a smart play by Keenum. It'll be 2nd and 10. You saw the numbers. He's had a couple of drops. J.G. Kareem. Only a yard. Kind of staggered his way to the handoff and was off balance from the get-go.
He had a lot of bodies in there trying to run the stretch play to the boundary, to the short side of the field, actually. And, just not a lot of room in there. You know, we keep telling people that they pay their guys a lot of money to stop them from doing what you're trying to execute, and you got to give them credit. On that particular play, the Dolphins won that battle.
Former teammate of Ryan Tannehill check into the game for the first time. Easy Wachiku. The rookie 5'11", 195, wearing number 87, Alec Lemon, also come into the game.
Got pressure.
5 in the pattern. Keenum with time in the middle of the field, and he's got a first down. Great grab. It's Alec Lemon, and Gary Kubiak he's been timid about his praise of Alec Lemon, the rookie out of Syracuse.
And Lemon is one of the guys that Case Keenum mentioned in our discussion with him. He says that it's stepping up, and Case does a nice job of getting a pre-snap read and his eyes flashing upfield. Then he comes back to Lemon. That's an impressive play that Gary Kubiak is going to look at and said, hey, the guy looked off the defenders, came back to the primary, and made a big play.
It'll be the false start on the Texans. And Case Keenum said one of the steps in the process. We'll get to that in a moment.
False start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And it was very similar to what T.J. Yates told us a week before, that in this offense, it's about your footwork.
Yeah.
And the way you read and make your progressions, but it's the timing of your footwork and the rhythm.
And the reason why that's critical is because the timing of the footwork, this goes all the way back to Bill Walsh, is connected to the routes.
Right. Loss of 5 of the false start. And batted down. One little bubble action over to the near side. Good play defensively. Batted down by Derek Shelby. So the big guy timed it at 6'2", 270 in his second season out of Utah. Guy that was not drafted but played every game for the Dolphins last year.
Dennis Johnson is in the game at running back now. We'll see what Gary tries to do with him. And again, it's a second down and rather long scenario, but I think ultimately this guy can catch. You know, we know he's got speed to burn. They obviously trust him with pass protection, otherwise he wouldn't be in the game in this situation.
Martin's the motion man. Lestar Jean, bottom of your screen, back into the game. He's got the touchdown catch of 38 yards. Delayed. Dennis Johnson. It looked good at the start, but only got 3.
Well, there's some times when you got to be slow to and fast through, but on a draw play, you've got to hit it. He has the speed to exploit it. He needed to just hit that one north and south, Joel.
We have reached the 2-minute warning at Reliant, and a 3rd and long coming up for Case Keenum and the Texans. Dolphins giving them everything they want early tonight. We're all even at 14. Stay with us in Houston. For the final 2 minutes of the first half, we asked you for fan picks. Fan picks at HoustonTexans.com, and you came through already. We start with a very good one.
That's nice.
That's creative. That's a good idea.
Is that Photoshop or is that?
Good call.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, baby.
Fan picks. Email them now. Fanpicks at HoustonTexans.com. Strong. Texans strong.
That's some car, must be.
So the loyalty factor continues with this franchise. 12 years strong. And only getting better. Good crowd for the first preseason game at home. Halftime report coming up. All brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off game from the Texas Lottery. And maybe it's your lucky day. You'll see features with Kareem Jackson, Swearinger, Montgomery sitting down with Spencer. And plenty of highlights in 28 points combined between these two teams. And will we get another highlight out of the Texans with Case Keenum at the controls? Gary Kubiak said he wanted to see Case with the seconds. Last week was T.J. Yates who did a good job with the second unit. Case Keenum has been efficient once again. 3rd and a dozen though. Pocket holds up well. Underneath, not enough. play in the first two. Made a clean play there.
That was a big arm, though. I mean, you know, one of the things about Case, people wonder how strong his arm is. Throwing deep with accuracy or throwing across the field, that was a requisite throw that an NFL quarterback has got to be able to make across the field, and he did that on time, rhythm, and with a lot of velocity.
So Miami has stopped the clock using their first timeout of the first half.
And that was Carl Durrell and Gary Kubiak conferring with their quarterback there on the sideline.
So an opportunity for the Dolphins to get some preseason work on their 2-minute drill. With a couple of timeouts remaining. Now what kind of field position is going to be? They put Chad Bumpus, the rookie out of Mississippi State, waiting for the Andrew Shapiro punt. And a good one. Good hang time by Shapiro. Fair catch called for. And Bumpus has it at about the 10-yard line.
It's a great punt.
Long field, we said that last time, but it turned into a 78-yard drive. That was a 47-yard punt.
And that's how you help your defense out, because now what could have been a returnable ball, and ball maybe returned as far as up to 30-yard is a mean or an average amount for a return like that. With that much real estate to work with, you got your team backed up inside the red zone. That's a lot of real estate to navigate in under 2 minutes.
And Ryan Tannehill is done for the night. So the former Texas A&M Aggie is gone. Matt Moore, he started his college career at UCLA, finished it up at Oregon State, getting ready for his 7th season at 6'3", 215 pounds. Is in for his first series. Back at the 9. The dump off. And Gillisley gets it, and he also takes a shot. The rookie out of Florida, the 5th-round pick, dropped by McClain, and that's a big drop when he lands on you. Matt Moore did not play hardly at all last year. Only 21 attempts overall. As we mentioned, Ryan Tannehill started all 16. Moore out of the gun with the clock moving, and he's hit. Jump ball, it's available and dropped.
Wow.
Boy, was that a gift. And Justin Tuggle could not hang on.
Well, Crick and company was the reason why they had pressure coming on the deals and game inside. Just a 4-man rush. Anytime you can get pressure with just 4 and play zone behind it, that's where the pressure's coming from the outside. The Texans did a nice job of creating the opportunity for that to happen. Here, once again, the pressure from the outside. Willie, Jefferson, company.
And it's funny facing the Dolphins, because Gary Kubiak said he kind of reminds me of a young Jason Taylor. Not that good, of course. Jason Taylor was phenomenal. One of the best rush ends we've seen in recent years. Now Moore on 3rd down.
Should have been holding there.
And it'll fall incomplete. Could have been holding to the secondary on Harris as well. He was going for Richard Matthews, or Richard Matthews rather. And it falls incomplete. So now with 2 timeouts on the board, this is interesting. That stops it with a lot of time for the Texans.
Well, Gary said that he wanted to get his quarterbacks in the most scenarios the opportunity to score so he could see the breadth and width of their development. This will be a great chance. Let's see if Case comes back in with the chance to move the ball downfield. Believe me, working in the system he did at the collegiate level, a minute and 1 is an eternity.
Dennis Johnson waits for the field punt. A low wobbler, returnable time. A lot of room for Dennis Johnson. He's got it, and he's down shy of the midfield stripe.
Dennis has got to trust his speed on that play. Again, coming upfield, he's a 4-3, 4-4 guy. You know, you got to run to the boundary to outrun those guys. You got usually linebackers that are covering on those coverage units. You can beat them to the sideline, and then you get vertical upfield.
Right, instead of trying to split them.
That's right.
So from the 49, Case Keenum is going to get another shot with the 2nd unit offense. Garrett Graham comes back onto the field with Star Gene. Can they get points? All they need is a couple of first downs to be in field goal territory.
I think they're going to work their system. They're going to try to push it downfield, and coming out with the Twins formation, or at least a classic West Coast with the Z.
Johnson stays in the backfield. First down.
Nice.
Yep, Garrett Graham. Complete to the 44. Clock moving.
Clock's moving. They should come back and work the right side of the field now, and eventually to the middle of the field.
2 timeouts on the board. It'll be Johnson with the flat. got the first down. Now they can stop the clock. Timeout for the Texans. So he gets it down to the 39. Nolan Carroll making the stop at the secondary.
That's good stuff there. You know, the anatomy of the West Coast. Work left to right, exploit every aspect of the field, coming back to the middle next. And again, that's just really to get the defense back on their heels and covering the total breadth and width of the field. That's the purpose from going left to right. Doesn't matter if you go from right to left or left to right. The goal is to try to get the defense running and chasing, covering the breadth and width of the field.
Well, we saw a 48-yard field goal last week from Randy Bullock. Missed from 54, a little bit short at the end of the first half of the Metrodome. They need to get it down to about the 30. Another 47, 48-yard attempt, and they still have a time under the board.
Take a shot.
22 seconds left in the half.
Empty backfield.
Sideline is used, and Alec Lemon does it well. On Carroll, he's got enough for field goal territory. Down to the 28s.
They got enough time for another play, and possibly two. The awareness of where you are on the field to get the first down. I mean, that's pretty special with Lemon. Delivering the ball to Chase, Lemon getting out of bounds right there, the first down mark. That's heads up.
Lemon stays on that side of the field with Keyshawn Martin. And corner of the end zone, and he had him by a step. Had to be dropped in perfectly for Lemon. Maybe a little bit taller over the top. Because, and I'm talking about the trajectory of the ball.
Well, just a little bit too much, and again, Case a little bit disappointed, perhaps knows he's put just a little bit too much on that.
12 seconds left, another snap.
I think you may have two. Previous play only took 5 seconds. You got timeouts, you can work it.
You're a positive person.
Yeah.
Again, and going for the corner. There's a hold on Lemon. They let it go, and it falls incomplete. You and I both saw it. So field goal attempt coming up with 6 seconds left. He slowed up, and it wasn't because he stopped on the route.
Yeah. But the good thing about it is both times Lemon versus man coverage beats it and gets behind the defender. I mean, he was in a position to make that play if the ball was placed there. So again, Case has got to, one thing we've seen, Case has got to get better at the depth perception on his go routes. He does a nice job on the deep outs.
It's going to be a 46-yard attempt. First try of the night for Randy Bullock. It's up on its way. Plenty of distance. And it's right down the middle. Zucchino. Bullock and the Texans make the most of the opportunity with a second left in the half. Got it back with 48 seconds on the clock, 2 timeouts, and they've got to be pleased with the way he ran that 2-minute drill.
Well, that's what he told us he wanted to do, and again, with the kick coming, Bullock does a nice job of driving through that one, keeping his head down, just like a little chip shot. Puts it right through the uprights, Joe.
There's my chip shots. Landed that well. So Case Keenum.
He likes golf.
He doesn't have time for it anymore.
Well, if he keeps playing like that, he certainly won't have much time to play much anything because he may be playing more.
He engineered Spencer 2 scoring drives. The 38-yard touchdown pass to Lestar Jean to give the Texans a 14-7 lead, and then look comfortable with the empty backfield on the last 3-4 snaps. You saw 10 of 16, a couple of drops in there, 134 yards with a strike, and a couple of opportunities. And I talked about the way veteran quarterbacks, and he's only getting ready for a second season, a little taller, more loft on the ball to drop it over a tight coverage on the defensive back. So only one guy can touch it. It's yours.
Yeah, you know, and that's going to take time for him because in the system that he was in where there's a lot of switch routes and recognition by the wide receivers, they're sitting it down in windows and zones. Very rarely was he throwing the deep ball as a part of a staple of an offense from the middle of the field.
Up man will get it. That'll do it for the half. So the Texans go to the locker room with a 3-point lead against the Miami Dolphins. So preseason game number 2 for the Texans. And it looked good with the first team offense out there early tonight, especially on their third series on a long touchdown drive.
And by First Community Credit Union, the official credit union of the Houston Texans and home of Brian Cushing.
Welcome back once again to Texans football, powered by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms. Preseason matchup, Texans, Dolphins, Joel Myers, Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey down on the sidelines. Coach Kubiak's interview all brought to you by Warehouse Pool Supply as we check in with Greg Bailey. Greg.
Well, pleased to be joined by Texans head coach Gary Kubiak. You got aggressive on fourth down with Case Keenum. What'd you like about the call and Case's play in the first half, Coach?
Well, just trusting him, in that situation, and try to give him a play that if they came after us, we had a chance to make a big play, and we just made a great throw. Lestard ran a great route.
Very quickly, an update on DeAndre Hopkins, Coach.
He took a big shot early in the game, and he was acting funny there for a few plays, so it's really precaution. We took him out, and I just told him, hey, let's play these young guys, but he just took a good shot.
Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck in the second half. Joel?
All right, Greg, thank you. So, being cautious with the first-round draft choice, DeAndre Hopkins. Don't blame Gary Kubiak and the staff at all. Preseason game number 2 as Bullock will kick it away. Mike Gillisley, rookie 5th-round pick out of Florida, waits about 5 yards into the end zone for the Dolphins. And we are ready to get underway in the second half. Good to have you with us on the Texans Television Network. It'll be Gillisley about 3 yards deep. And a spin across the 25 gives the Dolphins their first possession of the second half at the 26. Power stats all brought to you by Reliant, as the Texans outgaining them by close to 70 yards. And you can see the disparity is basically through the air.
Yeah, and Alec Lemon and Lestard Jean contributing heavily to the success through the air for Case Keenum, and he talked about the chemistry, wanting to develop that with those young players, and he's doing it so far.
But not much on the ground. The lack of balance for the Texans at the same time. Moore, little turn-in route complete to Rashard Matthews out of Nevada in his second season, a 7th-round pick last year, brought down by Brandon Harris.
The Dolphins trying to quicken the pace of this game on the quick slant route inside, trying to get the Texans alert and ready to defend in man coverage, which will likely stay in. They're trying to break a play on one-on-one coverage.
So press on the outside, as you can see. Harris getting up on the wide receiver. Only need about 3. Man, the ankle tackle, a good one, as they bring down Jonas Gray out of Notre Dame. And that is DJ Swearinger, sure, on that stop.
One got away from him last week for a touchdown. Watch him get his head across the guy now. That's a great job of Swearinger getting his hat through the defender, through the runner, as a nice defender. That's a textbook tackle there.
And we've talked about KO starting and doing a solid job, and also on the returns as well, but it's so much speculation surrounding Ed Reed and where he fits into the picture. Matt Moore on third, about 3 and a little bit too tall and off the fingertips. The tall wide receiver Marvin McNutt at 6'2", 6'3".
And to that point that you mentioned about Ed Reed not being in the middle of the field, Swearinger on that last play playing a single high safety look, which gives you some understanding that they have confidence, does Wade Phillips, that he can cover the breadth and width of the field. So a third of the field back there when he's in a single safety look is his responsibility.
And then it boils down to if Ed Reed can't go and Swearinger gets enough reps during the preseason, can he burst into the starting lineup? Beautiful punt by Fields. Johnson
Catch that. Come on, that's a mistake.
And it's going to be touched, and it'll die there on the pickup downfield for the Dolphins. Julius Pruitt, the wide receiver, doing a good job. So deep territory for the Texans. And quarterback T.J. Yates, or will it be? Yeah, Case Keenum when we come back. Is all brought to you by Mazda. 90 seconds into the third. Texans are going to get it, but they get a break. There was a flag that came out. Yeah, it was very late. The referee is announcing it now. They're putting the ball at the Texans' 20.
Yard line. By rule, the ball will be spotted at the 20-yard line. First down.
Well, the player must have been out of bounds who touched the football.
And then came back in.
Right.
Yeah. He can't be the first guy.
Right.
That's right.
So it's going to be at the 20, a break. Case Keenum stays into the game. This is going to be his 5th series, 2 of the 4 times. He has produced points, 10 of the 17. And Kareem on his first carry of the second half, only a yard. So Case Keenum, more than anything else, just looked comfortable in his calls.
Well, he's executing the offense. Again, you can see here his eyes upfield. He'll go to that particular spot there. Nice grab to pay it off by the receiver. Eyes upfield, he finds his back. Then it's Johnson who tries to get positive yardage and upfield. That's another positive play. And again, clearing it out. Nice job of placing that ball over the inside shoulder. Jean pays it off with a touchdown.
And Case 10 of 16 in the first half for 134 yards with a touchdown of 38 yards to Jean. Now Keenum with heat. Boy, read it perfectly. Goes down through the reach of his progression, and Tyler Klutz on the receiving end. The fullback out of Fresno State.
Klutz keeping his composure on that play. He fumbled out of there. Case delivers it to him.
I would have to imagine that Rick Dennison and Gary Kubiak have to appreciate that as much as a long throw because of the way he went through everything and didn't panic.
That's right. That shows you got command and you're going through the progressions with the offense demands.
A gain of 16 out to the 37, and Kareem did not have a prayer. Ben Jones with the guard on play pushed into the backfield, and it was A.J. Francis.
Yeah, Francis won that battle over Jones, and Jones is in there because of an injury to their starter at that position. And again, I think what you're looking for on any play is to prevent penetration. That will disrupt a base play. It'll disrupt certainly a pass. Ben just got beat on that last week.
In there for Wade Smith, who was scoped earlier this week, and they're hoping it's a basic scope of 3 weeks. I'm talking about the recovery time. Out of the gun with an empty backfield. Keenum has it batted back into his face, and it falls incomplete. That was Tracy Robertson with the penetration. He's from Lamar High School in Houston, played his college ball at Baylor, so a play like that certainly means more to him than somebody that's not from the area.
That's right. There's a critique when you sit him in the pocket back there at about 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Can he see over that crowd? And the long arms, will that be an obstruction for him if you're going to keep him in the pocket? That's a concern.
1st and 10 line, brought to you by Royal Purple. 3rd and long. Kareem stays in the backfield and gets good block. And the long throw to the tight end works just out of the reach with a flag down on the play. It's Garrett Graham on the receiving end. Boy, I mean, that was just inches away from being deflected. Will it stand?
Pass interference, offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty, still 30.
That judge has a strong arm, doesn't he? The way he threw that flag.
Garrett Graham apparently has a strong arm as well, too. He got pushed off to get open. Gary's not happy with it, but you can see man coverage here. Here's Garrett Graham settling down, comes over the arm. I don't know. That's a pretty weak call right there. You know, against zone coverage, you got to really be clean if you're working in traffic. But obviously, the official thought he saw something enough to call the play.
So instead of 3rd and 13 and a first down conversion, mark off of 10. Got to take it past the 47. Playing it safe. Kareem breathing room for the punting unit.
A.G. Kareem, he bounced out of there, you know, got upfield, which is what you want to do in this scenario. And I think some good things are going to happen for him. He's an inline runner, a straight guy, a safe guy, but for what they're asking of him in this one-cut system, I think he'll be very productive.
You echo the sentiments of Gary Kubiak. Back deep, Chad Bumpus waiting for the punt. And Shapiro sends out a wobbler, a one-hopper. Bumpus had a good job. That was Albert Mack. Downfield, who just wouldn't let go. And that's the way he's going to make this team, by that kind of work on specials.
Joe Marciano's looking at that plane with great leverage on that play.
Texans, is the Dolphins about to get it back. Welcome back to Reliant as we head downstairs to Greg Bailey. Greg,
Joel, I want to remind everybody, Texans Radio on Sports Radio 610, your source for all things Texans on game day and every day in between. Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Texans, has breaking news, exclusive interviews, weekly interviews with Coach Kubiak, Matt Schaub, and more. Texans Radio, game day, every day.
All right, Greg, thank you. That kid is a dentist dream.
Candyman.
Cotton Candy Supreme. Look pretty good. On the first down carry, Gillisley over the left side.
Makes the world taste good.
Brought down by Johnson.
Gain of 5 by Johnson.
Yeah.
Second down is 5.
Come on, you felt the same way at that age.
I didn't have a cool one, though, to chase that.
No, that wasn't his. That was the guy
Okay.
next to him.
All right.
Give me a break. You're tough. Second and 5 from the 34. Very observant here. Quick hitter. And on the spin. Not going anywhere. Marcus Thigpen out of Indiana in his second season. Mike Muhammad led the team in stops last week in Minneapolis. And gets one there on a solo stop.
Brings up third down and 4.
So Thigpen, a return specialist. And now trying to make some noise out of the backfield. Third and 4.
That's a wicked pressure look by the Texans.
And hit it out of the hands. Would have been right at the marker, and I don't know if he would have been able to pick up the first down, but Swearinger made sure that he wasn't going to hold on.
Well, it's a reoccurring theme. We've seen him in tight coverage, asked to play man coverage. DJ Swearinger does a nice job, manned up there just outside the edge rusher, and he squats and sits on the guy and just puts that right hand through there and works through him. Nothing doing here, says Swearinger.
And that's why I said to you just a few minutes ago, is it that big a gamble? Because you're invested, second-round pick. Is it that much of a gamble to put him in as the starter if Ed Reed can't go to begin the season?
I don't think it's a gamble at all. Again, the thing about playing that center field position is you've got to have courage, you got to have confidence, and he has that in spades.
3 and out with a punt once again. And that was the story last week, thanks to plays like that from Swearinger. It was a shutout in Minnesota the second half last week. That's what the Texans will try to do once again at Reliant. Quarter is all brought to you by Mazda, with the Texans on top by 3, and TJ Yates takes over at quarterback, and he was efficient just like Keenum. And we talked about both of them last week doing a good job in Minneapolis. You see the numbers. Keenum 5 series, the last 10 points in those 5 series for the Texans. Now from the 20, Kareem cutting it perfectly. Had a nice lane, though. Good alley to run through. All the way for 14 up to the 34 before he's dropped by Julian Posey.
And, Joel, that's what I saw out of him on the first Friday of practice. He has an ability to stretch this play and then vertically get upfield in a hurry for positive yardage. And, again, this offense really demands that the running backs make one cut, read it quickly, and get upfield. And he does that pretty darn good.
Kareem stays in the backfield. 5'8", 210 pounds. Left side this time. Nice. And slides all the way through to the midfield stripe, but he's barely tripped up in the secondary by Nolan Carroll. And make it R.J. Stanford. Otherwise, he's gone.
Boy, I tell you, again, he looks like Sierra Wood last week. You see how he got those shoulders? He's selling like crazy the stretch play. And when guys start to stay in his hip pocket and not overrun it, he's able to get to that corner and get vertically upfield. If he had just a little bit more speed and kept his balance, he might have hit his head on the goalpost. That's a good play there by Deji Kareem.
2 carries, and all of a sudden they're down to the 48. So we talked about the lack of balance in the first half, but they featured the pass early in the game. They tried to get it down the field. Kareem weaving his way. Well, a little more than 3, almost 4.
I can tell you what's going to happen. When you get a back that's able to run the stretch play like this, it will affect the defense. At some point, the Dolphins have to bring a safety down in the box or find a way to contain him. Then the play action will open up for TJ Yates, and everything on the back end is going to open for him. So you're going to see one big play in the passing game that's going to change things, and he'll grab a bunch of passing yards in a hurry with TJ Yates.
It's going to be second and a short 7. And what about the rhythm that a guy gets when he has 3 consecutive carries? And all of a sudden, he is featured as they load things up with the running back on a play fake, though. Middle of the field, Keyshawn Martin. He's got the first down.
See, and that play comes off of play action. It looks just like the stretch play they've been running with great success the previous 2 plays. And again, Keyshawn pays it off. This play looks like it. Catch coverage here, off coverage, trying to squat on him to get some help from the linebacker underneath. The zone not there in time enough to cover. Keyshawn pays it off. But what made the play work in the first place was it looked from the beginning just like the previous 2 successful stretch plays off the play action.
Throw was on the money.
Yes, it was.
Right in front of him. Another play fake, a little waggle action. Martin, Graham, he'll go the next level. Graham's got it to the 10, to the 5. He's in. Touchdown, Texans. Not a bad start to the night for TJ Yates.
About as efficient start as you can get. Setting up nicely. What is that? Play action. It's worked for him on the previous 3 or 4 plays. The waggle. Graham seats the ball in the inside hand. He needs to put it in the outside hand. TJ said, hey, I'll take it anyway.
And the way the receivers were layered and the levels up.
And that,
Keyshawn Martin first, then Garrett Graham.
Absolutely. And again, that's the beauty of the effectiveness of I'm going to call it a West Coast, even though it's a variation of a theme that Gary's running. You can run the ball effectively. You can distribute the ball from the left to the right to the middle or just the alternate. And it really puts the defense on its heels.
An 80-yard drive, and it didn't take long. Kareem early in the drive. 3 consecutive runs to set it up in Dolphin territory. Garrett Graham and Yates finished it off. Reception. He caught 5 last week in the Metrodome. And on the receiving end that time, the throw by TJ Yates, who caught him in stride. With the point is, the quarterback hit him in a position to succeed. Led him beautifully. So a 24-14 lead for the Texans, their biggest of the night, as we check in with Greg Bailey. Greg?
Hey, Joel, we take the chance to talk to the best defensive player in the National Football League. J.J. Watt joins us. Thanks for your patience, number 1. Number 2, you were so excited to play in this game. You told us all week. How many snaps did you get, and how was the action?
I got 2.
2 snaps.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I mean, obviously you want to play every play. I want to be in right now, but it's smart. You're getting ready for the season. You just want to be prepared for September 9th. I missed the whole preseason last year, so I'm not worried about missing a couple snaps here and there.
If I told you we had a special guest named Antonio Smith behind you at this moment, would you be surprised?
Look at him. He's so quick. He's so quick. He's a ninja. I didn't even see him.
You have made headlines this week for a couple reasons. Number 1, the big-time goals. You want to be the best of all time. What was the process that got you to that point where you believed that and felt comfortable saying that you wanted to be the greatest defensive player in NFL history?
I mean, if you're an athlete, any athlete, I don't care what sport it is, and your goal isn't to be the best in your sport ever, then you're wasting your time. And you need to have that mentality. And it needs to be a daily drive to be the best ever. Because if you're just trying to be mediocre, if you're just trying to be average, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the fans' time, you're wasting everybody's time.
Your goals always start with team goals. That means the Super Bowl. Why do you feel so strongly about this team and this season?
Because that's the number 1 goal. It's always the number 1 goal. But with this team, we're so focused. Guys are so driven. We have the tools. We've tasted the playoffs. We've tasted the second round. But obviously, the number 1 goal is that trophy.
I put you on TV catching passes out of the jugs machine and started a big old firestorm. You want to play some offense. You want to get on the goal line package. Tell us about the play you would like to see Gary run for you for your first NFL touchdown reception.
You know, apparently anything I do these days turns into a story.
Of course.
That was such a non-story. It's just, that's not even an issue. You know, it's just something I do for fun. I like catching passes, and I do whatever I want, whatever I can to help this team win games.
I do know you're serious about being a high school coach back in Wisconsin when the career's over. What's rule number 1 for Coach Watt's high school football team?
You better have effort. You better come to practice every single day ready to work. Because my teams are going to work, and we're going to be good because we work harder than everybody else.
J.J. Watt, thanks for your patience and thanks for your time tonight. Joel, I don't know about you, but I'd be motivated to play hard for Coach J.J. Watt.
You wouldn't have a choice, Greg. Matt Moore just missed an opportunity. Down the sideline on 3rd and 7. Pressure coming up the middle and on his way down. Moore's sack. It was a group effort. Give Muhammad the sack. But they were pitching in from the outside, forced him into stepping up.
But he had a lot of help there. Jefferson on the outside, Crick on the inside was waiting there as well. A lot of guys in that effort that J.J. Watt just talked about in that odd front look, which gave the Dolphins some confusing moments there up front, responsible for that sack on that particular play. That's the effort that J.J. Watt was talking about.
So 3 and out once again. Dennis Johnson waits for the punt. And may have misjudged the backpedaling, losing his momentum. He's got a lane over to the right side. And then his hit dropped at about the 35. Well, J.J. Watt with a flag down to the plate. And also, one of the Texans unfortunately down. But this was the scene before the game. J.J. Watt making some kids feel pretty good. The kids that sang the national anthem tonight at Reliant. Rising star of the game, powered by Royal Purple, coming up in the 4th. Your chance to win 2 Texans VIP tickets to a Texans regular season game. So stay with us. Spencer's rising star of the game in the 4th. Joel Meyer, Spencer Tillman, and Greg Bailey back at Reliant. Inside of 5 to play in the 3rd. And a 10-point cushion with the Texans getting the ball back. TJ Yates, second series, first. Just a little productive. On the play fake, throws it at the feet of his tight end, Ryan Griffin. He obviously read that the play didn't have a chance to succeed.
But when comparing quarterbacks, you can see there's an opportunity for TJ Yates to make a smart play, as Case Keenum was presented with during his opportunity to impress. So both quarterbacks indeed getting similar looks and opportunities to demonstrate they know how to get out of trouble, or at least minimize the damage.
Dolphins, Antoine Applewhite, who was just added to the roster before the game out of San Diego State. He played for the Chargers, also Carolina. Had the pressure on that play to bust things up. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Delay. Dennis Johnson spins for about 5. And a struggle. Did the ball come out? Dolphins are saying it's theirs. Johnson's up and he doesn't have the football. So now the wrestling match. And that is the first turnover on the ground. 2nd of the game. First was a pass intercepted off Schaub by Grimes on the first series of the game. And now Robinson, Lee Robinson, the linebacker, comes up with it.
Well, you're smaller back and you got to protect the ball. He's got both hands on it, but he got a little high action there. And he's down.
Well, is he down? Yeah, it looked like.
There's a body underneath him, and that's a questionable call, and I don't know if that's reviewable or not. I mean, it's.
Gary was looking up at the board.
That's a bad call. It's an awful call.
Well, it's preseason for the officials, and they're trying officials in different roles as well during the preseason.
Well, you be the judge at home, and again, when there's a body underneath you, as it seems to be on that particular play, was he in fact down? You know, the ball is out now, but to me, from the other angle, it looked clearly like he was down. I mean, that's a very difficult call to make.
There's an official review right now.
Yeah, they have a chance to get it right. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it.
If you land on another body, you're not down. But there he is down. It looked like one knee was on the ground. Can I borrow your binoculars?
Yeah, you can, but here's the deal. You can't overturn it if it was ruled a fumble down on the field. So even if it's look, if it wasn't called and it was ruled a fumble, there's no way you can overturn it. If it's indisputable, you can't see it, so you can't overturn it. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to overturn this. Not from those two angles. It was a called fumble, and that's the way it's going to stay.
This could take a while. Miami is yet to score in the second half. In fact, they're looking for the first down. After 3 series, they've gone 3 and out with a punt. And this is a young team that's going to have a real difficult schedule to start. Their opening game on the road. In fact, their first 2 on the road. First in Cleveland, then in Indianapolis.
Drum roll.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
Now, I talked about the first 2 games on the road. Then their home opener, September 22nd. Not easy. They get the Falcons. Miami, after that, goes on the road once again, facing the Saints at the Dome in New Orleans. So 3 of their first 4 games are on the road. We agree with you, Gilmer at Gilmer 92. Video boards are really amazing. They are brilliant. From the 39, it's a first down. Time for Matt Moore. Had a good grab. Going down to get it. And did he hang on to it?
No, he didn't.
Matthews. No, he bobbled his head.
Now that was a good call.
Brandon Harris on the coverage.
Brandon did a nice job of closing on this play, but you'll see the ball is trapped on that particular play. Can't see it from that angle, but clearly from where we're standing, our vantage point, Brandon Harris did a nice job of closing, but the ball is between the receiver's chest and the ground.
First time Miami has started with the ball in Texans territory. It's 2nd and 10 at the 39. Over to the right side. Good run by Jonas Gray. 5'9", 225 out of Notre Dame. Dropped by Mike Muhammad. Will it be points off a takeaway? Miami was a +3 last week in their win at Jacksonville. 4 takeaways, only 1 giveaway. And you and I were talking about it at lunch today. Out of the 47 Super Bowl champions, only 7 have had a negative turnover ratio. So look at the teams, and only 1 in the postseason last year who's in the minus side when it comes to turnovers. So in the big picture, you got to be plus fingertips, and then the shot in the back with
your first targeting.
Yep, with the helmet.
Your first targeting foul right there.
Brandon Harris.
Brandon's got to be really careful because of that, because a 3-pronged approach to defining what is targeting. You deliver a sizable blow, you target the player or line up the player, and you lead with the crown of your helmet.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, hit on defenseless receiver, and hit with the shoulder to the helmet area. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And again, here's the criteria here. You got to be really careful. The player's defenseless, the ball is over his head. Your head goes down, you lead with the crown of the helmet. Deliver a forcible blow. Even though it looked like the shoulder from that side.
It looked like the arm, the shoulder.
But what made it questionable is when he lowered his head. If you keep your head up, that's what they're trying to encourage in the league. You keep your head up.
So it's down to the 19 of the mark-off. And an automatic first down of the personal foul for Miami. Gray stays in there at tailback. And movement up front.
David Hunter got a little bit quick trigger there on that right side of that Texans front.
Takes it down to the 15 on the carry for Gray. Gain of about 4.
Offside, defense number 72, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Practice squad player last year, David Hunter.
Again, you got to be able to hold your water when you get down there, and David Hunter's trying to read the guard pulling and figures he can knife through there. It's a great idea, but you can't be too quick.
First and 5 from the 14. Matt Moore put it on the ground on the snap. It's back outside of the 15 of the loss, but still a couple of downs to work with. 10-point lead.
Seat the ball properly. The first thing a quarterback's got to do, he tries to pull out of there with the ball not seated properly in his hands, and the Texans able to pounce on him.
It was an interesting, and I watched most of the episodes last year because they were the training camp focus on HBO last year, the Miami Dolphins.
Good stuff.
And really good, especially when Joe Philbin was talking about his role on the team, and that they were going with Ryan Tannehill. The decision had been made. Now Moore on the play fake, in trouble, and it's Willie Jefferson. The heat from the outside, the rangy guy.
Stephen F. Austin, and the crowd certainly are loving it. Again, he's a nightmare out on the outside. You can see number 63 with that wide 7 technique. Nobody trying to block him. That's a mistake big time there. And Willie's got the athleticism to stay at home, not fooled by Moore's athleticism. Stays at home, squats, settles down, and gets just enough to put him down. And 63 from Stephen F. Austin. The celebration is on.
So now 3rd and long, back at the 25. Need to take it inside the 9. To make it 1st and goal. 2.5 to play in the 3rd. The Dolphins looking for their first points of the 2nd half. Short drop, and out of the reach of the tight end, Deion Sims. Was it rushed a little bit? It falls incomplete. So it's going to be the rookie out of Florida who won the job. Dan Carpenter let go this week. Well, the Dolphins place kicker over the last 5 years, and all he did last year was go 22 of 27. Sturgis, though, 58-yarder.
Well, he's got a big leg.
In his debut. So they get 11 onto the field very quickly. It'll be a 43-yard attempt. And on its way, the Dolphins are on the board in the 2nd half. So Sturgis has yet to miss 3 of 3 in the preseason. And it's back to a 7-point ball game.
Well, he was Florida's all-time point scorer for the Gators, and I think he may be tops in the SEC as well. He's got a big leg.
Yeah, you'll find Texans apparel at the Go Texan store, located in Budweiser Plaza, right here at Reliant. And while you're there, Texans cheerleader swimsuit calendar for 2013-14, it is available as well. So the Go Texan store, it's open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. And also right now during every Texans home game. If you're not here at the ballpark, don't forget you can do it all online. Shop.HoustonTexans.com. So it's shop.HoustonTexans.com. And get all your gear, all your apparel for the Texans' upcoming season.
You were trolling around over there for some Texans gear, weren't you?
Yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday.
It's a good store. I like it. A lot of stuff in there. Sturgis kicks it away. Deji Kareem. And Sturgis right out of the end zone. We talked about last week, Randy Bullock, 4 of the 6 were not returned against the Vikings. And that's your best kick coverage, when you make sure you kick it out of the end zone.
Well, Deji Kareem has had a very fine night in working that stretch play and setting up TJ Yates' success via the air. And TJ, he's going to have a couple of big plays as a result of that established run game.
I kind of like the fact, though, that after the fumble, and I don't think it was a fumble, I thought Dennis Johnson was down, but he's right back out there for Gary Kubiak. Flats the fullback, almost like an H-back. Man, that same side, it's Johnson. He's got a load on his back. And A.J. Francis has done a good job out there tonight for the Miami Dolphins. A rookie from Maryland, moving pretty well for a guy at 6'5", 310.
Back to your point about Dennis Brown being in there, but
our core is light, cold hard facts. Deji Kareem.
Well, he's a special player. At least he has been tonight. Again, that's veteran, 4 years in the league, showing you very judicious 55 yards there versus what the rest of the team has. And I'll tell you, the 6.1 yard average, that's pretty strong. That's a first down. Give it to him twice.
Gain of 3 for Johnson. Set up in the eye this time. And off the play fake. Yates, he's got his target gripping. But TJ Yates has really been on target tonight.
He is, but again, you go back to what's setting this up. You've got the Dolphins playing man concepts because they're convinced that they've got to bring an extra defender around the line of scrimmage. And if the Texans receivers can win their one-on-one matchups, TJ is poised enough. Remember, he has as many playoff wins for this team as Matt Schaub does.
It's a first down out to the 40. Third series for TJ Yates. First drive, it went 80 yards. Finished it off with a touchdown pass to Garrett Graham. That time, that ball was batted up into the air by A.J. Francis. So the rookie showing up on film right down the third on the depth chart for Miami.
On the previous play, Yates took a big hit on this. Again, shows you he's able to stay in there, but drives that body and the head down into the turf, showing his toughness.
And the big guy, who's over 300 pounds, a little tap on him like, sorry, buddy. Second and 10 from the 40. Go right out of the backfield. Had a good play by the linebacker, Lee Robinson, to take down Dennis Johnson before he could get the first down. Shy by about 4.
And the reason why Gary keeps feeding him is because Dennis Johnson is a multi-talented player. Huge kickoff return guy, punt return guy. He can catch it out of the backfield, and he runs the great stretch play, and he's got great speed. He's a 4.4 guy. Some people say he's 4.3, high 4.3s. Gary's going to give him every chance to prove himself.
Third and 4. Extra rusher, middle of the field, and a little bit behind him. Good adjustment by Ryan Griffin, the rookie 6th round pick out of UConn. Brought down by Don Jones.
Man under concept, 4-cross look, everybody manned up. You got to win the individual battles, and it's exactly what Griffin did on that play.
That'll do it for the third. So once again, Texans drive it with TJ Yates at the control. Get ready for the final 15 minutes of regulation. 7-point lead for the Texans on the Texans Television Network. Will continue after these messages.
A portion of this broadcast is brought to you by Reliant. Welcome to Reliant. How can we help you? By the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans Lottery scratch-off game. Your chance to win like a pro. And by Burger King, where taste is king.
Welcome back to the final 15 minutes of regulation. Joel Myers, Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey downstairs. A 7-point game as the Texans driving once again with TJ Yates taking over at the controls. This is his third series of the contest. And he has done nothing wrong. In fact, the only series they didn't score, the fumble by Dennis Johnson. That was a questionable one. Taking over in the backfield, it's going to be Sierra Wood, who was very strong last week in Minneapolis, as he is tripped up. Sliding off the right side for about 5, down to the 42. He didn't hurt his chances at all last week, did he? The 5'11", 215-pound rookie out of Notre Dame.
He did not. The 4 guys that are working for that 3 spot to replace Justin Forsett are playing exceptionally well right now. And one of the things that 41 does, Sierra Wood, he really stretches the play like it's supposed to be done, and he gets to that edge really quick, whether you toss it to him or hand it off. Nice.
Give off the left side. Wood takes the tackler with him for the first down. Strong run.
That was a strong run, and again, you know, Sierra Wood shows you he's got some ability. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but because of his speed, he's able to run through some arm tackles and get an additional 2 or 3 yards that you wouldn't expect a guy that his size. He's just over 215 pounds or so.
From Oxnard, California, left Notre Dame after his junior season. A little more than a minute gone by, and another first down for the Texans here in the 4th. You see Deji Green, Dennis Johnson, Ben Tate sparingly in the first down. On the move, Yates, and Klutz will take it out of bounds as they dropped off slightly on the coverage. Working against the linebacker on that side. Greg Jones, the starting fullback. When you go forward, and we talked about it a little bit with Wade Phillips on the breakdown of a roster. And Wade said since he's been here, this is his 3rd year, it's been 25 offense, 25 defense, and then the 3 specials: punter, place kicker, and snapper.
The key is if you want to break that divide, you've got to be a special team guy, a guy that can contribute on teams. Doesn't care where it comes from, the offense or defense.
off balance, but boy, maintaining control and just kind of keeping him spinning for an extra 2-3 yards. Sierra Wood inside the 30, dropped by R.J. Stanford.
Now, I gave Sierra a couple of extra pounds, and he's 5'11", about 205. I think he's around 208. He's a little bit heavier than that, but still, he's not like a Ben Tate. He's not in his 220s, 217s, or that range. But when you run fast and hard, you can run through an extra arm tackle and get some plus yardage. And that's what he's doing. He's running with intention now.
Nice battle going on.
Nice.
Yep. And there is Sierra Wood. Flag on the play.
You got to look at that formation.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there enough on the line of scrimmage?
Right.
And what about the formation when the flag came out?
Well, either that was a busted defensive reaction to what they were doing, or what we call a bastard read or look in terms of the formation.
Personal foul, clipping, number 17, 15-yard penalty. Still full.
That's the wide receiver, Alec Lemon, and they usually say chop block. They don't say clipping anymore.
Right. Let's take a look at it here. You see 17 right there on the wing. He comes down. You got to be really careful inside that box. And, you know, one of the points of emphasis now, well, they've eliminated a couple of things down inside. The peel back block is eliminated.
Hit him from behind.
You got to make sure your head's in front of the guy, although they're going to call that every single time. There's an emphasis or focus on those types of blocks inside the tackle block. They've eliminated the peel back block. You can't do that anymore. And of course, in week 5, Ryan Cushing was put out and sidelined for the remainder of the season because of a block that happened in that space as well. So they're going to police it.
So instead of a first and goal to the 6, now 3rd and long, all the way back at the 45. Yates on the crossing pattern. With a tie at end, Garrett Graham, Ryan Griffin, ground created the fumble. So it's back to the 37. And in a 7-point game, you got to feel like they're going to punt, not gamble. Clock continues to roll. For more than 3 minutes gone by in the 4th, looking for preseason win number 2. Now managing the game. Gary Kubiak recognized something, talking to the head linesman. Marcus Thigpen did a great job on returns. In fact, one of the best in the NFL last year on punt returns with a 12-yard average. He waits back to 10, but Shapiro will try to make sure he doesn't touch it. And the Dolphins using a valuable.
That's a mistake.
Well, they didn't have enough guys on the field. Yeah. That's frustration for Joe Philbin. He's in his 2nd year as the Dolphins head coach. And a lot of people felt 7-9 was squeezing a lot of wins out of his team last year.
Yeah, they were young, new, and he obviously had some off-field issues. And just before he took over the head coaching job, which complicated it and made it more amazing that they were able to finish 7-9.
We gotta get ready for the return of college football at Reliant. It's the Big 12 and the SEC. The Cowboys of Oklahoma State, Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Advocare Texas kickoff Saturday, August 31st, 2:30. The seats start at just $35. You can secure yours right now. Call 832-667-2390. You go online. Advocare, TexasKickoff.com is the website. We'll see you out here at Reliant for the Big 12 and the SEC. Shapiro, end over end, high one.
Nice.
And Thigpen with a fair catch call. Takes it in cleanly. Back at about the 10-yard line. So the Dolphins and Matt Moore get it back when we return, and we'll be talking to the general manager of the Texans when we return, Rick Smith. Brought to you by Warehouse Pool Supply, and welcome back once again to Reliant. Just about 4 minutes gone in the 4th. It's a 7-point lead. It's not Coach Kubiak. It is the general manager, Rick Smith. And I said to you, first of all, congratulations on assembling this group once again. It just seems like year by year, it's a little bit more depth and experience.
Well, and that's the objective. We've got to continue to push the envelope until we can bring a championship home to Houston.
Yeah, and deeper in Joe Mays' pickup and a smart pickup, a former Denver Bronco. We talked with him a couple of days ago. Guys with experience and know how to play the game.
Well, that's important. I mean, especially when you talk about that position and building depth on your football team, you've got to you got to always try to bring guys in that can impact the football game, and he certainly is capable.
Staying on that side of the ball, Rick, what about number 20? Everyone's got your free agent acquisition where you made your big splash, still out of the mix right now. Where does the defense stand without him in the back?
Well, you know what? I think we've got some depth at the safety position. I think you see guys making plays. You saw Shallow make some plays last week. I think you see the young draft pick that we picked up this year in the second round. So I think we'll be fine. I think Ed is I think everybody wants to see him, and so do I. But I think we are comfortable where he is in his rehab process, and it's going well.
He said, what, 75, 80% about a week ago?
Yeah, and it's hard to judge those percentages, but when it counts, I think he'll be there for us.
What's the skill set that Ed brings? Everybody talks about his savvy and his range that he brings back there. And I've always talked about how what you had in the combination of Glover Quinn and Manning were two converted corners who could play safety, flash corner skills playing back there as well. Ed Reed?
I think that the biggest thing that he adds is he makes plays on the football. I mean, this guy is a turnover machine, and that's what he can add to our group. And he gives some freedom to some of the other guys to be a little bit more aggressive in their coverages because they know that the quarterback has to be concerned with where he is.
It's good stuff.
Third down coming up for a lot of seconds and thirds on the defensive unit for the Texans. And coming up with guys that weren't drafted. I want to get to that thought in just a moment after this third and short for the Dolphins with Matt Moore, middle of the field, and it's Thigpen for the first down out to the 25-yard line. But I talked to you about Willie Jefferson, and Gary talked about him like a rangy, real young Jason Taylor, and we're talking about a guy that potentially could be in the NFL Hall of Fame. So we're not putting him in that league yet, but he's got that kind of skill look.
Well, and he's got natural pass rush ability, and I think that's probably what Gary was referring to because the guy, he's long and lengthy like Jason is, but he's got an ability to dip and get around the corner effectively.
You know, and watching him play, though, you know, the thing about it is when he ever gets to the point where he can combine more than one move and he gains a little bit of weight, he's going to be tough to block.
Well, he will be. And again, every time that he gets an opportunity to take reps on the field, he gains experience that's going to help him down the road.
Pleasant surprises as far as you're concerned in camp so far?
Well, there have been a few. I mean, I think you see number 17, Alec Lemon, who's another college free agent, who's done a nice job. And it's nice to see guys maximize their opportunities. And he's a young man who has done such that, and I'm excited to see him and glad to see him make some plays tonight.
What about the battle that's taking place among the free agent acquisitions, the running backs? I mean, Graham, those guys were very productive at their respective colleges, and Dennis, of course, among that group, Sierra Wood, undrafted from Notre Dame. All those guys have been pretty good.
They have. They've done a nice job, and again, you know, the more you can have quality football players competing, I think it adds to your football team. And all those guys are capable. I mean, you even look at Ray Graham, who was wildly successful in the Big East Conference before his injury, and you see him progressing back, and I think he's much more comfortable now. And Deji and all those guys are prepared. Sierra, I thought, played well last week. So I think we've got a good mix of young backs back there, and they're competing. Yeah.
Talking to Rick Smith, general manager. We were talking earlier about Swearinger, but before you joined us in this conversation, you already brought him up. Is it a reach? Because we talked about it doesn't seem like a gamble, the way the guy plays, the way he reads. If Ed's not ready opening day, it doesn't seem like a huge gamble to put him in the starting lineup.
No, this guy, you know, from the minute he stepped on the practice field during our rookie mini camps, you saw that he has savvy, he's got natural feel and ability for what's going on, and he can read routes, and he's a physical presence too. I mean, that was the thing that we saw early on. You saw him make plays on the ball, you know, similar to what you described with Ed, but then all of a sudden when we put the pads on in the training camp sessions, he continued to make plays, and that's important for that position.
I saw him hit a kid from UAB, and I still see the kid sprawled out there now. I mean, the way he brings it, he puts it in your watch pocket and lets you know about it. The thing about it is I like how he bounced back. You know, obviously probably should have got his head across the guy last week. One got away from him, but he bounced back with the type of body language and confidence you would expect of a savvy guy, a veteran player.
And that's important. I mean, obviously, you know, this is pro football, and he's got to learn the tempo that you've got to play with every week. But he is a very confident young man, and that's not going to be a problem for him.
Now, the unknown. We talked to him a couple of days ago. Sam Montgomery, the third-round pick.
Well, you know, Sam, a lot of people just don't know much about him because he's been injured. I mean, he had a legitimate high ankle sprain, and he's worked hard to come back from that. He is a powerful guy, and that's what he adds to the element. We've got the speed rushers that you talk about with Willie and Brian Raymond on one side. This guy's a power rusher.
Any concern about the adjustment? You know, he was in a 4-3 scheme. They pretty much wound him up and let him come. You know, John Chavis, great job of that. but there's drop responsibilities in this 3-4. How is he going to make that adjustment, or how is he progressing?
Well, he is, and that's something that he's going to have to learn. I think what you can do early on, just like you watch the young guy, Teron Williams, there make a play. There are packages that where you can put these guys down and put their hands down and let them go do what they do, and that's effectively rush the passer. And as they are learning how to, to drop and all of the various coverages that they have to also perform at the linebacker position, there are ways to get them involved early if you just use them the right way.
Well, he's saying the right things. If he can match it on the field, I think he's going to be special for you, Coach.
It's kind of funny. A guy under the radar right now is the guy who just had back-to-back sacks. Your 4th-round pick, Williams.
Yeah. He's again a guy with natural pass rush ability. He's been a little slow developing, but I think he's got the ability to get after the quarterback, and that's something that's important.
Let's see DJ here. Break one. Good kid that we've spent time talking to at camp, and he loses the ball at the end of the play. The scramble.
That's one of the things for young players in this league. You've got to maintain possession, and that's vitally important. He's got to understand that.
He lost one earlier. Yeah. It's secured by the Texans. Rick, appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us once again.
Appreciate you.
And the bottom line once again, keep him healthy.
You got it. That's exactly right.
7-point game. We'll come right back for the final. 6-11 at Reliant. Brought to you by Papa John's. And welcome back to Reliant. Joel Myers, along with Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey. And it's nice for Gary Kubiak to get a guy out there, a former Aggie, because the other Aggie's on the other sideline, and he's a bonus baby. 8th overall in the draft last year. Ryan Tannehill, Steve McGee, former draft choice of the Cowboys, and an opportunity to get in the game late. So the Texans have it. Best field position to start a drive. Actually second best. They're 48. They had it once at the 49. Sierra Wood, toss sweep, and out of bounds after 2-3 yards on the carry.
No matter who's in the game, the thing I really like about what Gary's doing, Sierra Wood in the game right now, once he identifies what a player does best, he gives them the best chance to succeed by calling those plays that exploits those assets so that they can make this squad. And you're going to have to play special teams, and this is what he did last week, 10 rushes, 59 yards. And how about that 5.9 yard per carry average?
Well, you're talking about a guy that gets on the edge well.
Yes.
And reads those lanes. Like we saw him last week with the Metrodome with a healthy average.
Stretch play.
It'll be Wood again, turning the corner effectively, but it's a hold. Unfortunately, a hold on the fullback, Zach Bourne, the rookie out of Ohio State.
Yeah, anytime a guy gets to the edge that cleanly in the National Football League, somebody either just got beat or made a bad read, and that was a hold.
Holding. Offense, number 45. 10-yard penalty. Still second.
Yeah, it's funny when Rick Smith was up here. Trevardo Williams, a 22-year-old rookie out of UConn, who's really been quiet. And he said it's been a slow start for him at camp, but he had the back-to-back sacks. And here's a guy who holds all the sack records for the Huskies at UConn. And it really was impressive while the general manager was up here in the booth. Making him look good. Taking him in the 4th round. Trouble, and McGee hangs on to the football. That's the best part of it, because it was an ugly sequence for him, but he showed some strength just to avoid fumbling it.
Yeah, anytime you get weak side pressure, first of all, if it's a weak side, that means there's no tight end over there, so it's a shorter corner. So whoever's rushing doesn't have nearly as long of a path to get to the quarterback, and that's what he was facing there on that play. He didn't have much of a chance.
Good grip. 1st and 10 line this quarter. All brought to you by First Community Credit Union. So now 3rd and forever at the 29. Sierra Wood knows where it's going. Keep the clock moving.
Protect the lead.
7-point ball game. Wood again to the outside. Keeps the clock moving. It was stopped inbounds at the 32.
And that's smart there. Again, here's a rookie player knowing what the 4 minutes in the game. He wants to keep the clock running. Stays in bounds, and so it continues to tick. That's heads-up football.
Miami still with 2 timeouts left. They had to use the 1 on special teams. And now, instead of Thigpen, who's been back there all game, it's going to be on the receiving end, Chad Bumpus, who's been back on kicks. Thigpen on punts. And Shapiro hangs up a good high one. That'll take it down to about the 21 for the Dolphins. So Miami with an opportunity. And let's see what their second and third teamers can do with 3:42 to play. Scoreboard this quarter brought to you by Papa John's. Time now for our go-get-it moment of the game. All presented by Houston Community College. And Swearinger's has some kind of night. He deserves a moment.
If you talk to him, he'd tell you he's a five-tool player. He can play, he can tackle, he can make it all. Head across the body. You can see him here in coverage now, making a great play. Squats on the receiver, turns, gets that right in there, hand in there, and breaks it up. Nothing doing right here, says DJ Swearinger.
It's been that kind of night for him, though.
It has.
Okay, he's had a lot of snaps. He's been out there as much as anybody in a Texans uniform.
Well, he's been able to defend the different types of passes that you're going to see. Close inside, on the perimeter from the single safety look. There's no place he can't defend on the football field.
From the 21, plenty of time for the Dolphins trying to tie things up. Aaron Corpus taking over at quarterback with a comeback route. And it's complete. It goes to Pruitt. And did he get enough for the first down? Right at the 30? No, he's shy as we head over to Greg Bailey. Greg?
Joel, thanks. We're pleased to be joined by the Texans starting quarterback, Matt Schaub. Matt, thanks for taking a moment with us. A little bit extra work for the first-team offense tonight. Just your impressions of that.
Yeah, just their natural progression in the preseason, going into the second game, get a few series, want to move the football, be precise with what we got it going on. And, we had a nice drive that ended in a touchdown. Obviously, we had a couple mistakes, a sack, had a turnover. We got to clean those things up. But guys looked sharp in what they were doing.
Gary told us earlier that DeAndre Hopkins will spend the rest of the night out. Just as a precaution, we've seen the physical gifts. What impressed you about the way this guy goes to work that gives him a chance to be really good for this team?
Yeah, I mean, he just comes in every day with the workman-like mentality. He just wants to get better. He's all ears, wants to listen, learn, understand the route adjustments, everything that, he's responsible for in our offense. And, when you have a guy like that, that's a great foundation to go along with his physical gifts.
Can you explain to our viewers the progression of your backup quarterbacks? Both Case Keenum and TJH look like they've come miles. You told me off camera you've had a blast watching them.
Yeah, it's fun watching those guys grow and learn and how they go and take things from the practice field, from the meeting room, and then come out here and display it on the game. So, TJ going into year 3, everything's clicking for him. He understands everything, what everyone's doing mentally. And Case has really come a long way in a year from what he used to do in college to how we run the offense, and they're both doing a great job.
Last one. Everybody has such big goals for this team, and you're not shy about that yourself. This camp impressed me because nobody complained. I don't know if I've ever come to an NFL training camp where nobody complained about the heat, the work, any of that. What is it about this group that you guys mesh so well?
Exactly what you said. It's all about the work. We can't. There's only things that we can control is our play and our preparation on the field and in the classroom. We can't control the heat. We can't control anything. It's going to be hot. It's going to be tough. Nothing's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And it takes a special person and special guys that come and play this game. And, we just go to work every day and try to get better.
We enjoy watching it, man. Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks a lot.
Joel, he's the leader of this offense. They're going to be fun to watch coming up in 2013.
No question. Thank you, Greg. On the deflection, it falls incomplete. So it's 3rd and long, and now, all of a sudden, you got a personal foul coming up at the end of the play.
While they sort this all out, one of the things that Matt was talking about to Greg was the process of success. This team is committed to it, and no one complains. Everybody shows up and does what, Gary's going to take care of his players anyway. And he's just wired that way, but they're going to put in the work. JJ echoed that same sentiment. Your other captain.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 64. That 15-yard penalty is enforced in the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
Delano Johnson getting an earful because the game could be over with 2:50 to play. It was the end of the drive.
Yep.
Dolphins were giving the football back to the Texans, and now an automatic first down moves it all the way to the 40-yard line.
Well, he'll be getting more than an earful if this turns out to be a scoring opportunity. And you get an apple and a roadmap after those kind of silly mistakes.
Aaron Court, former Richmond Spider at 6'4", 215, taking over from Matt Moore. And on the slant, could have been a flag, and it will be a flag, even though the grab was made over there because there was early contact. Smith, the rookie out of Louisville, brings it in. Rock Carmichael on his back and didn't time it like he wanted to.
Yeah, it's tough when you're playing the technique that Rock was, and the ball is on a line in between the defender and yourself, I mean, it's not between them, it's actually in front of them. You can't see the ball, so you're guessing as to when you're closing on the receiver.
Pass interference, defense number 22. That penalty will be accepted because it will result in an automatic first down.
So 6 yards on the reception, but an automatic first down on the penalty.
And the thing about the Dolphins are now at midfield as a result of successive plays that were mistakes by the Texans. Again, Rock getting to the point. Again, the ball in front of the receiver, he can't see through that, so he's guessing it at the timing on trying to break that one up.
He's been a teams guy.
Yep.
4th round pick in 2011, and now with the depth they've added in the secondary, a bubble guy. So the first down at the 46, 54 yards away from tying things up for Miami. Court ad-libs well, extended the pocket as he stepped up and found Michael Agnew, who did that very well at the University of Missouri. He's not a blocking tight end, he's receiving tight end, 3rd round pick last year.
Yeah, which underscores the nice tackle by DJ Swearinger here, again against a guy that's known for his athleticism and ability to get away. Swearinger with a sure hand in the tackle.
Spread him out, 5 in the set. An empty backfield for Corp on first down to the 40. Helmet's lost. Corp's on his way, puts the ball on the ground, and it's covered. Texans come up with it, and it was Jawanza Starling making the recovery, the rookie out of USC. Just trying to get the extra yard or two out of it.
A lot of times when quarterbacks elude that first wave of the rush, they'll seat that ball and put it up high, and Wade Phillips loves the fact that his team is able to generate turnovers. The Texans trying to shut the door on the Dolphins.
Seven-point game. Texans get it back, try to run out the clock with 2:06 remaining. Don't forget, it's about 10 days away. It is the Texans and the Dallas Cowboys, because game 3 against the New Orleans Saints is going to be on the network. Dallas right here on your Texans television network on the 29th, 7 o'clock Central. So go to HoustonTexans.com. You can see the entire preseason, regular season schedule. Just go to the website, HoustonTexans.com. Snap, and then the 2-minute warning. Steve McGee stays in there at quarterback. And is it going to be Ray Graham? Well, he looked good down the stretch. Not enough minutes in a game for all the running backs they'd like to get involved. But Ray Graham had a touchdown last week. He was dropped by McCray. And a good run and a gain of about 7 yards takes us to the 2-minute warning and a 7-point ball game. Our rising star of the game presented by Royal Purple. You like Deji Kareem a lot.
I love him. He ran heavy. He ran effectively. 9 carries, 55 yards. Straightest point between two lines is a dead A to B track. He's on it big time. Deji Kareem showing you he's going to be that next guy.
Don't forget to go to ABC13.com. You enter Deji Kareem for a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to a Texans regular season game. And good luck, hopefully. There's some winners out there. Ray Graham dancing a little bit. Wanted to stay in bounds. He does that. Miami will stop the clock. David Hines in on the hit. So Miami's got one more timeout with 1:54 to play. Texans can end the game by picking up about 4.5 yards. Dallas on the 29th. It's a Thursday night. It's the final preseason game, and join us on the Texans television network. Channel 13 for our friends here in Houston on KTRK. Ball start. 7 o'clock kick. We'll start with the pregame. Bottom of the hour, though, at 6:30.
Thursday night till. It's like Thanksgiving.
Well,
right? It's like Thanksgiving.
The Turk visits soon after the 29th, unfortunately, and asks for a playbook. These guys, the dreams and their goals, and you feel for so many. Tough. Now McGee, can he run for the first down? Alert play. Slide down, inbounds, he will. And that'll do it. Miami's only got 1 first down. Heads up play by the former Aggie, Stephen McGee.
Well, a smart play by Stephen McGee. Just pulls it down and slides, and play action away, sizes it up, says, don't throw it downfield, pull it down and run with it. Let the clock continue to run. Close this thing out.
Yeah, the defensive coaches from Miami are talking to the big guys. How could you lose containment? Clock runs, minute 18 to play. Take a knee or two, and it is over. So the battle was a good one. The backup quarterback spot, and also for the third running back spot. And our cold, hard facts, all brought to you by Coors Light. I think it's still an interesting proposition between the two, and especially considering T.J. Yates didn't have as many chances, but looks super efficient.
Both of them were highly effective. I think the thing that I really liked about T.J. Yates, and not necessarily over Case's performance, he got help, did T.J. Yates, from the run game, which set it up nicely and allowed Gary Kubiak's offense to really flow like it's supposed to.
That's when Kareem took off.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, that's when Deji Kareem had those 3 consecutive runs with big chunks. So it all of a sudden made it easier to throw the ball downfield. But when Case Keenum in the first half and then Yates in the second half, they were both on target. That'll do it. And the Texans win by 7 to go to 2-0 in the preseason. So a lot of connections between these two teams. We talked about the offensive coordinator Mike Sherman, former Texans assistant, head coach at A&M. Now the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. The player connections as they get together. Yeah, we're going to wrap things up, get ready for some post-game. For Spencer Tillman, Greg Bailey, I'm Joel Myers. Thanks for joining us in Houston. A 24-17 win for J.J. Watt, who was out there for 2 snaps, wasn't he? And the Texans. Now our Houston viewers, keep it right here for eyewitness news and exclusive post-game coverage that only the official Texans TV station, ABC 13, can bring you. Other stations on the Texans Television Network, stay tuned for your local news and programming. This has been a presentation of the Texans Television Network. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you on the 29th in Dallas. Have a great weekend.